Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching around the world. This, my friends, is Poznan. This is Poland. And this is where we're gathering for the second International Canoe Federation Sprint and Paracanowe World Cup for 2025. Beautiful city, beautiful canoeing history, beautiful venue. Look at that, picture perfect today. I mean, seriously, where else would you want to be in the world right now? We have got a big day's racing coming your way. We've got some semi-finals, some fantastic athletes in the Paracanowe and the canoe sprint who will be out there today doing their darndest to try and show that they are up to the standard to match it with the very, very best in the world. My name is Ross Solly. It's my very great privilege to be bringing you some of the commentary from today's action, and joining me in the commentary box for the opening session of today's racing, three-time Paralympian, multiple Paralympic gold medalist, multiple Paracanoe gold medalist, multiple world champion, Emma Wicks. Good morning to you, Emma.
Good morning, Ross. Fantastic to be with you this morning for this semi-final action ahead of us, and what an exciting day's racing we've got. I think we've got 62 races across the day today, so looking forward to seeing what the athletes can do.
It's going to be a very, very big day. Now, we saw it's about 11 degrees at the moment, Emma. A little bit of a breeze, but not too bad. But 11 degrees, probably a little bit cooler than some of the athletes would be liking. But I guess once they get racing, they'll get into the zone. As you said, 62 races today. There really are some of the top-notch events. We've got a whole heap of Paracanoe semi-finals up first of all. Then we'll turn our attention to some 500-meter and 1,000-meter semi-finals as well, and a little bit later on some A-finals to come your way as well. So wherever you're watching around the world, get yourself comfortable. We've got a big program today. Some good racing yesterday. Emma, you and Jen did a fantastic job for the last session last night. You're sounding like you're having a lot of fun, which was good, but there was some good racing yesterday afternoon and some good racing throughout the day, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a really good start to this World Cup. Obviously, there was a bit of a tail breeze for most of the racing, but it looked pretty fair and pretty even, which is all you can ask for, I think, when you're an athlete on the start line. But we saw some good close races, and then hopefully we're going to get some more good action today. Great to see Paracanoe athletes on the world stage again, in this new Paralympic cycle. So we saw some impressive performances from the usual suspects yesterday. Charlotte Henshaw delivering for GB in both the VAR and the kayak. And we also saw some exciting new talent, Ross. Brazil have got a new athlete in the men's KL3 that I think probably shocked a few people. Porto winning his heat and beating Yemelinov, who is the previous Paralympic gold medalist from Rio and Tokyo. So some exciting talent and some exciting times. And here's the men's semi-final for the VL2. We've got two Japanese athletes, Kato Kishabe, and then in lane 4, we've got Suba from Hungary, who was the silver medalist from Tokyo. In lane 5, we've got Saint-Pierre from Canada, who's taken an early lead, and you can see in the red boat stretching out as he's coming down the course. He is actually, he won gold here in 2019, so he likes this course. And in this nearest lane, we've got Kumar from India, but it's Saint-Pierre who has taken the lead and is stretching out by half a boat length. You can see they're just really trying to get the power down on the blade. This is the VL2 category, so they've got limited length function and some affected core. But you can see Saint-Pierre there really using his power to push the boat forward. It's going to be the top 3 that get through to that final, so he will definitely be wanting one of those spots, and he's going to take the win. Not sure he's going to get second. Is it going to be India? Yes, it's India. Great to see India taking the second in that spot. And then Suba in lane 4 from Hungary. So those are your 3 that go through to the A final. Fantastic to see 2 Japanese athletes. Sadly, they just miss out on the final this time round, but great to see depth from Japan. And again, Ross, an indication of what it does to host the games in terms of boosting numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good point there. And a nice little hit out there for Mathieu Saint-Pierre. And excellent news for beard lovers around the world, of which I have become one in recent days, that the very first race of the day is won by a beard. Good to see Robert Suba, who was there with you, Emma, in Rio in 2016 when Paracanowe made its Paralympic debut. Robert Suba was one of the early leaders in the field, still going strong. There's a few of you still left from 2016, aren't there? They're still out there paddling, and Robert Suba there is got himself into a final, which is great news for him.
Yeah, really good to see him out there. He's been definitely one of the faces of Paracanowe over the years. So great to see him in the final again, and it's going to be an exciting one. There were some impressive performances in the VL2 yesterday. Ed Clifton looks to have stepped on massively from last year in Paris, and he's taken all those learnings, and I've watched him over the winter. So it'll be exciting to see this final tomorrow afternoon.
So we are just awaiting confirmation, but I think it was pretty clear cut there. Mathieu St. Pierre from Canada crossing the line first. India's Amit Kumar crossed the line in second. And there we go, Robert Suba indeed. So those three athletes will go through to the A final in the men's VL2. We've got one more semi-final to go. And in this semi-final, we actually have 6 starters. And again, the first 3 will go through to the final. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so 6 starters, 3 to go through to the final, straight through to the final. Then 4 to 7 will go through to the semi-final and the next best time. So basically, all will go through in this race. So there's our start list. In lane number 1, we have. Sorry, let me just. Sorry, my bad. We're on to the VL3. My bad. Sorry, Emma. I was looking at this, and I'm thinking, that can't be right. No, this is the semi-final in the men's VL3 with the first 3 to go straight through to the final. There are 9 athletes here, and you have in lane 1, Subinsky from Ukraine. In lane 2, Teranik from Israel. In lane 3, Edwards from Chile. In lane 4, Abar from France. In lane number 5, Nikolai from Italy. In lane number 6, we have Regia from Spain. In lane number 7, Wadera from Poland. Lane number 8, Daniels from Australia. And in lane number 9, Nijakowski from Poland. So a couple of paddlers from Poland in there. Looks a very even field, I must say. Emma, you know a few of these athletes. Who should we be watching in this semi-final, do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting field. I think Abel from France is probably going to be the boat to watch. He's the current European silver medalist. There he is. There, huge guy in that VAR. But really interesting field here. It's obviously we don't have the Paralympic silver medalist Jack Ayres or the bronze medalist Pete Cowan from New Zealand here at this World Cup. But it's still a very competitive field, and we shall see which of these 3 are going to get. Which 3 of these are going to get through to the final. But I would keep your eyes on lane 4 from France. But I expect it to be a pretty close match off the start. Let's see what happens.
So there we go. They all got away pretty evenly. So you go, Emma. Go ahead, Emma. Take it away.
Yeah, so Poland have exploded off the start there in lane 7, taking lead. As you can see, the French Abel in lane 4 is just stretching ahead into the lead. Next to him, Arto from Chile is also keeping hold of that boat. The Italian in the lane next to him trying to make sure that the Frenchman doesn't have it all his own way, and he is literally clawing back. But it is still France in the lead, with Chile next to him looking like he's really producing some power. That's fantastic. Here comes the Italian, a bit like a crane, trying to close down that French boat in front of him. But I think it's going to be those 3. I think it's going to be France, Chile, and Italy. But let's have a look. Lane 4 from Poland. Oh, Poland's going to come through as well. Ooh. I think it's going to be that's the French with the win, and then I think it might be Italy and Poland with Chile just missing out. But let's wait for the photo, Ross. How did you see that? That was close.
Well, it was a very close call. I actually think the Italian might have missed out. I think he just lost a little bit of direction getting close to the finish line. I mean, we'll watch the replay, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Mirko Nikolai might actually have missed out. So we'll have to wait and see. But no doubt about our race winner, Abel Abar, got away to a very, very good start. took out the early running. The Chilean Arturo Edwards was really brave early on, sticking alongside him and really was trying to keep up the pace there, but could not match it all the way through. Wadera here, the Polish closest to the camera, I think managed to maybe just sneak into the third position. But let's wait as they cross the finish line. So no doubt about our winner. And then let's have a look here. You can see there the Italian lost direction a little bit, and he's missed out.
I
Look at
think
that,
he's
Emma.
missed out.
His boat's on a terrible angle there. So I think he just in the last 10 meters let it slip away, unfortunately. And I guess when you're really, really stretching, trying to get that extra bit of speed, you can perhaps, I don't know, Emma, just lose a little bit of control of your direction.
Yeah, and that's the thing about these Vars. So these are traditional Tahitian boats. People often think that they've got the armor on the side as a stabilizer, but it is in fact a traditional boat. And yes, you're right, the Italian just missed out by 400ths of a second. So it's
Gee, yeah.
Abel Eber from France in first, Wilder from Poland in second, and Edwards from Chile in third through to the A final. So really close. But yeah, absolutely, Ross. These boats are tricky to control. And once you are fatigued in that last kind of 50, 60 meters, as soon as you lose that power on the front of the stroke, the boats tend to veer off. And you saw that with the Italian, literally in that last 10 meters, just losing, going from second to fourth within just a matter of meters. So disappointing for him, but another great example of how difficult these boats are to control. And here we are now for the women's KL2 semi-final. This has got 4 athletes in. Obviously from the heats, the top 3 went through from both heats. So in this one, we're looking for 3 of these 4 to go through to the final. We've got the debutante from Brazil. Brazil have got a huge team here at this World Cup. They've got 13 athletes, almost double the next team. Britain have got 7. So again, real credit to Brazil for their talent ID and their development. So we've got the debutante who paddled well in the heat in lane 3. And then we've got 2 Spanish entries, Vigilal and Bianca from Spain, and then Fluten from Germany in lane 6. So she's quite an experienced athlete, has been at a number of competitions. So it'd be interesting to see which 3 of these 4 athletes make it through.
And I'm just looking here, Emma. Carlota Blanca in lane number 5, so the second of the Spaniards, born in 2008. So that makes her probably either 16 or 17 years of age. And in a sport where many of the athletes have been paddling for many years, it's very exciting to see a young paddler. There she is on screen, born in 2008. I'm not going to tell you what I was doing in 2008, Emma, but
yeah,
fair to say that I was well and truly into the second half of my life by 2008. But good to see. It's good to see, isn't it, that some good young guns out there. She's in fact got 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think real credit again to the Spanish. Looked like it's going to be a false start, but they haven't called it. So they're off and they are down the course. It looked like the Spanish athlete in lane 4 actually struggled at the start there. But it's the younger athletes, it's the young guns that have come out really well. Brazilian Frederic in lane 3, taking an early lead. Second place, Blanca, the other Spaniard that we were just talking about there, and the German is just currently in 3rd. But it looks like the Brazilian athlete is taking a phenomenal lead, paddling really well and really stretching out, looking like she's struggling slightly with steering there. That'll just be a bit of experience because I think there's a slight crosswind. So still important. Obviously in Paracanowe, we don't have the use of the rudder. If you can't use your legs, you obviously can't control the rudder. So she's having to adjust her stroke there. So let's hope she can stay in her lane. Looks like a crosswind this morning, which is slightly challenging. But let's hope she can stay in her lane and get down to get into that A final that she deserves to be in. Brazil take the win with both the Spanish boats coming through for 2nd and 3rd. Fantastic race there. She's absolutely delighted that she's kept that boat in the lane, and definitely one to look forward to over the next few years.
Now, the reason I let out a bit of an exclamation there, Emma, it looked like Frederic, the Brazilian, she did hit the last buoy. Now, I don't know what the rules are. You can fill us in. Obviously, you can't stray outside your lane. If you do, you get disqualified. She hit the buoy. Is that a problem? Is she okay? Is that something the judges will need to look at? Or is that just something that, as long as she stayed, once she hit the buoy on the inside of it, she should be okay? Let's just watch when she gets
Yeah.
down to the finish line. It's the very last buoy before she crosses the finish. And she was really struggling here. You can see just trying to stay on track. Oh, we just missed it, unfortunately. But she hit that last buoy. What's the rules with it, Emma, for that?
I mean, I'm really hoping that the judges will look at that. I think you're supposed to try and stay in the middle 3 meters of your lane. But I think if you're coming out of your lane, obviously you're going to be disqualified. But I'm hoping that she was making every effort to get back into the center of the lane. So as long as she's not impeding anyone else, I would hope that they would look at that and see. But we'll have to wait for the judge's decision. Technically, I think if you leave your lane, you're obviously disqualified. If you're impeding someone else, it's going to be an issue. But I didn't see her impeding other people. So we'll have to see what happens.
No, I think the fact that she was in the outside lane, she was very fortunate, I think, and looks like confirmation she has been given the win. What might be interesting, though, Emma, is in the final, if she's in the middle of the field or close to the middle, then she might have a bit of a problem if she's still struggling, because there'll be someone alongside her. And I would think that if she starts to stray over and get close to that lane and her paddle starts to get into the other athlete's lane, then it might be something the judges might need to look at. But I'm sure she'll work on that. She'll have a chat to her coaches. She'll work out the best way to deal with it. But it does give us an indication, doesn't it, Emma, of the potential wind factor here today, that it might be just playing up. I mean, it looks to the naked eye, and certainly around the course, it doesn't seem that strong, but just enough to test some of the athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really an interesting thing for people to understand, that the use of a rudder is so crucial in a lot of the sprint canoeing, but obviously for many of the para athletes that's just not an option. So you saw it in Paris. I think in my final in Paris, every stroke was a steering stroke, as well as trying to propel the boat forward. So it was a compromised race from that perspective, because you've only got your strokes to be able to steer the boat and stay in your lane. Right, Ross, we're on to the KL3 women semi-final now. So this has got 3 debutantes in it. This is their first competition for the Australian Scholl, the German Fischer, and the Australian Pax. So really fantastic to see our sport growing and developing, as it should do, as people discover it and realise what a fantastic sport it is. So this should be quite an interesting race. We've got some experienced paddlers out there. Again, it's going to be the first 3 through to the A final, and it's a field of 7 athletes. So it's going to be hugely exciting to see how the debutantes go against the slightly more experienced heads, particularly in the wind that we just saw having quite an impact in the previous race.
So running down the field, in lane 1, we have representing Australia, Kaya Scholl. In lane 2, representing Australia, Amy Ralph. In lane 3, representing Germany, Claudia Fischer. In lane 4, representing Hungary, Nicoletta Molnar. In lane 5, representing Italy, Amanda Ambrosio. In lane 6, representing Brazil, Aileen de Oliveira. And then in lane 7, representing Australia, Emily Pace. We have 3 Australians. A lot of people say, Emma, that 1 Australian is often too many Australians. So there are 3 Australians in this race. So
yeah,
it's like an Australian sandwich too. You've got 2 bits of bread on each side. Anyway, we're underway, Emma.
Yeah, underway, and the Italian has literally stormed out of the bucket and taken an early lead, closely followed by the Brazilian. And then we've got on the inside of them Molnar from Hungary, also trying to chase down that Italian that's had a phenomenal start. Really good stroke rate and looking like she's locking the blade on the front and propelling that boat forward. Obviously, within the KL3, Laura Sugars, the current Paralympic champion, Barbosa, who's not here, from France, and Librera got the bronze in Paris. So it's a strong old event, the women's KL3, but these athletes look at home on the course. Looks like it's going to be Italy, but who's going to get the second place between Brazil and Hungary? Storming to the finish, her pace never seemed to drop. The Italian takes the win, Brazil in second, Hungary in third, and the German debutante Fischer in fourth. So fantastic. Also, those Australians 3 Australians. It's a young squad developing. I know that they were bringing some development athletes over here to experience racing on the world stage. So I'm hopeful that they will take their learnings and go back and put them all into practice back in Australia. But great win from the Italian. She looked really comfortable throughout that semi-final, and she finds herself in the A final.
Yes, a really strong performance from Amanda Embraccio, leaving us in no doubt from the very start. In fact, by the time they hit the first buoy, she was almost a boat length in front of the rest of the field, which is a pretty impressive start. I think Emily Pace has got the bragging rights out of the 3 Australians. I think she finished ahead, but they will miss out on the A final. So the 3 to go through it is Amanda Embraccio from Italy, Aline de Oliveira from Brazil, and Nicoletta Molnar will all go through to the final of the women's KL3. Really good, solid racing there from all involved. Well done, everybody. All right, so that wraps up our Paracanoe semi-finals for this morning. We've got some more Paracanoe racing coming up a little bit later on. But now we're about to turn our attention to the women's C1 500 semi-finals. I think they have to move the start gates, etc. We've got quite a bit of a break here. So Emma and I might just take a quick break, and then we'll be back in around 5 or 6 minutes for the first of the women's C1 500 that's due to start. There's confirmation, by the way, Embraccio, de Oliveira and Molnar. Yes, so that the next race is due to start local time 5 minutes to 10. So in around 8 minutes from now. We'll join you then.
To sprint paddling. This is our sport. We're going to talk you through the basics of kayaking and canoeing.
We paddle in a flat water anywhere except when it's frozen, and the aim is to paddle as fast as possible from the start to the finish line.
I'm a kayaker, and as a kayaker I paddle sitting down, seated, with my feet like that, and we paddle with a double bladed, and we paddle left and right like this.
I'm a canoeist. I spend most of my day in a canoe. We are standing on whiny and paddle with only one blade.
We have individual races, we have double races, and we have races with 4 people in one boat together. So quite complex. Individual, obviously you race alone, and then it's an individual sport, and in the team boats you race together as a team.
We have 4 different distances, 200 meters, it's more short, 500 meters and 1000 meters, and the most long is 5K.
Okay, so now you know everything you need to know about our sport, and please follow along and also, of course, get out on the water.
So we've got some more semi-final action for you here this morning from Poznan. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Poznan, quite chilly. But the tail crosswind isn't providing too much trouble at the minute. Some of the para-athletes had to steer a bit in those races we've just seen. We have got the C1 Women 500 semi-finals coming up for you. Now, we've got 2 semi-finals with the 1 to 3 going through to Final A. The 4 to 7 and the next best time will go to Final B. So we've got some exciting action here. It'll be interesting to see how the C1 paddlers cope with that slight crosswind.
All right, we are now getting ready for the first semi-final in the C1 Women's 500, and there we have the full start list. 8 boats, and in this, the first 3 will go to the A final, and then 4 to 7, and the next best time to the B final. And a pretty good field here. We have Afton Fitzhenry from Great Britain in lane number 1. We have Emma Albrecht from the United States in lane 2. Anika Loschke from Germany in lane 3. Denisa Rahova from Czechia in lane 4. JC Grant from Canada in lane 5. Zina Jiang from China in lane 6. Bethany Gill from Great Britain in lane 7. And in lane 9, Meguma Zabota from Japan. A couple of the Brits in here. Emma, what can you tell us about, well, we know Bethany, she's been around for a little while. What about Afton Fitzhenry?
Yeah, Afton was part of the kind of talent transition search program that Great Britain held. So she's been around for a while, performed on the world stage, has been experimenting with different sports and different training methods this year. She went and did some bobsleigh with the Navy over the winter, so she enjoyed that. She's also playing a bit of rugby, so looking for that kind of different approach to training, to explore different training methods. But the two of them, you know, in their heats, they were in different heats, but they were only 0.2 of a second between their times in the heat. So I'm excited to see how they can race against each other within this semi-final. So it's a kind of race within a race, but it'll be great to see one of them get one of those spots into the A final.
Now, of course, this is not an Olympic event. The Olympic event is the C1 200, so this is a bit more of an endurance effort for the canoe paddlers. But there's some big names in the middle of the field, of course. Denisa Rahova from Czechia, Anika Loschke from Germany, JC Grant from Canada. All very, very strong canoe paddling nations. Expect to see them putting out a big performance, and you can never discount the Chinese. Zina Jiang in lane number 6. So you can see the wind there playing a little bit of havoc. I think it looks like it might be Bethany, that is struggling. Bethany Gill, who is struggling a little bit, has to back out and straighten up her canoe again and go back in and have another go. It's perfectly okay to do so. In fact, the starters encourage you to make sure that you're lined up straight behind the starting bucket and that you get your nose in there. So Bethany just edging in there now. I think she's there. She's all ready to go. All right, so the rest of the field looks steady. We are in the starters' hands for the first women's C1 500 semi-final, and we're underway. Very good start. Looks like the Chinese athlete got a bit of a jump there. Zina Jiang in lane number 6. Right next to her, it is JC Grant from Canada, and then Denisa Rahova from Czechia, who have all gone out very, very nicely in the start of this 500-meter race. It is a tough race, so you do not want to burn all the petrol too early on. You want to make sure you've got something left in the tank as you get towards the finish line. And at the moment, it's a very even race across the field. There's about 4 boats in a row there. So I think we're seeing Jiang from China, Grant from Canada, Rahova from Czechia, and Loschke from Germany. The 4 that we thought would be up there challenging for those 3 spots. Only 3 spots up for grabs in the A final, so one of these paddlers will miss out, so it makes it very cutthroat. Still the Chinese paddler at this stage of the race who's got the slight advantage over the Canadian, and then I think it is Loschke from Germany across there in lane 3, who is sitting in 3rd at the halfway stage of the race, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see again the paddlers paddling on the right or the left-hand side. So that's up to their personal preference and their kind of strength and what makes the boat go faster. And obviously when there's a slight crosswind, that's going to have a bit of an impact on how they're doing. But we can see actually in those first 4 boats a variation on the sides that they are paddling. So the Chinese boat of Jiang is still in the lead, being chased hard down by Grant, and Rahova is pulling back now a bit on Grant, and Loschke is still in the fight. So it's going to be very close for these top 3 places. The Chinese athlete Zhang is still looking like she's just edging the lead, but Rahova is coming back strongly against Grant, and Losky is still trying to chase them down. I think it's going to be Rahova from Czechia, Grant from Canada, and Zhang from China for these top three. They're looking like they're coming into the finish now really quite strongly. Zhang still holding that lead, really making sure that boat propels forward, and it's going to be Zhang from China, Grant from Canada, and Rahova from Czechia. The German athlete Losky just coming in fourth, Beth Gill fifth. I think Afton over in lane one, and Albach from America neck and neck, really. So good runs from all the athletes, but your three through to the final are Zhang from China, Grant from Canada, and Rahova from Czechia.
Yeah, very impressive front-running performance there from the Chinese paddler Zina Jiang. Took it out early. There was a good contest early on, as you saw, 4 boats having a really intense arm wrestle for the first half of that race. And then just slowly, unfortunately, it was Anika Oloshki who could not keep the pace up and just dropped off, leaving it in a race for 3, all 3 guaranteed to go through to that A final. So well done. And once again, another Chinese paddler, Zina Jiang, 20 years of age, so very young, starting out in the sport, and got so much ahead of her. And again, just showing us again, the Chinese produce so many great female canoe paddlers. Good race there from JC Grant. I mean, look, when you're in China and Canada, there's a very, very long queue there to get to the very, very top. And Katie Vincent can vouch for that. It takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience to get to the top. And JC Grant biding her time, just putting in some good solid races, and she'll be very happy to be in an A final. And Denisa Rahova from Czechia, the third athlete who will go through to the A final. Loschke, Gill, Albrecht, and Fitzhenry, I think, will all get B finals. So it'll be good racing experience for them. There we are, confirmation. Yes, Loschke, Gill, Albrecht, and Fitzhenry all will have some B final action a little bit later on. So another chance to race in tricky conditions, Emma, and I think that's the important thing. I think we were talking about this yesterday in the commentary. All athletes would love to race in glass conditions, like it smooth, everything going, but all around the world, and it's one of the great things, it's an outdoor sport, so you have to be able to deal with all sorts of conditions. So for those athletes in a B final, another chance to race in some conditions that may be a little bit unusual for them, maybe a little bit different, but just getting that experience.
And that's what's so important, isn't it? And I think certainly within the British squad, we've started this kind of build process, and really looking forward to LA and beyond, and the future planning. So it's an exciting opportunity to see the girls race again in a B final.
Let's look at the start list for the second semi-final, and we have Nicole Pimentel from Mexico in lane 1, Vanessa Tot from Croatia lane 3, Eugenie Durange from France in lane 4, Reka Opavsky from Hungary in lane 5, in lane 6 another Hungarian, Sofia Zorba, in lane 7 the American Audrey Harper, then the Chilean, the veteran, I hope she doesn't mind me calling her that, but she has been a front runner and a great custodian of this sport for a couple of years now, Maria Maillard from Chile. And then in the outside lane, in lane number 9, it'll be Anna Quist. This is a pretty stacked race, Emma. I'll let you call the start for what is a very, very even race. I think just 3 to go through.
Yeah, and they're straight off the start. And as you said, Ross, going to be incredibly tight between all these athletes. There's real depth across that field. And you can see that straight away. They've got off the start line, and we've got really neck-to-neck racing over in lane 2, Tot, lane 3, Dorange, and then Opasky in lane 5. Just slightly off the pace there. But you can just see there that the athletes in lane 7, Harper also trying to chase down the leaders, but we've got Dorange in lane 4, just with her nose in front, and then we've got Opasky chasing her down. So it's between those two at the front of the race, but don't count out anybody at this point. It's still a long way to go. They're just settling into their rhythm as they come down the course, looking to try and see how the boat is responding with that wind. But it's looking like a close race at the minute with Dorange and Opasky and Maillard. And Harper
It
in
is
lane
very,
7.
very close. Yeah, that the American teenager Audrey Harper, every time she gets on the water, she's showing incredible improvement, and there she is up there challenging. She's in 3rd place at the moment, but in the lead, it is the Hungarian Opavsky just ahead of Durange from France. Audrey Harper trying to hang on, but look at Chorba, the second Hungarian, really trying to reel her in at the moment. So it's a very, very close race here between Harper and, I think, Jorba for that 3rd position. No doubt about our leader. It is Opavsky from Hungary. Right next to her, it's Durange from France. They are your 1 and 2 at the moment, but there's a real challenge coming now through for the 3rd place, and the important 3rd place, because that is a place in the final. Maybe Chorba now just has the upper hand over Harper. Harper's trying not to give in, but in fact, Chorba's moved up into 2nd position now, so she is really putting in a big finish. It's going to be very close, but I think it's Hungary 1 and 2. France get 3rd, and then I think Vanessa Tot at the top of the screen has missed out just as well. But I think we had Hungary 1-2. Big finish there from Sofia Chorba from Hungary, just managing to tip out Durange from France for 2nd position. And unfortunately for Audrey Harper, very brave race from the American teenager for the first 350 meters, I would say, and then just that last 150, when the body starts to tighten up a little bit, the muscles start to ache. And I guess if out of the corner of your eye, Emma, when you see someone go past you or looming up alongside you, it can break your heart.
Absolutely, it can. I think, in our sport, adding tension in and fatigue is an absolute killer to technique. But just a phenomenal race by Sorba there to be kind of middle of the pack and to then come through. I think you can see the American Harper there struggling slightly with the steering, which is what we've seen across the morning so far. So that will be a learning opportunity for her, and I would definitely keep your eye on her as we approach LA in 2028. She is young and she's clearly got some talent. So really exciting race, but a kind of confident and competent display by the Hungarian C1 women.
Yep, we were just waiting for confirmation, but it was very, very close, but to the naked eye, Emma, I think it was Opavsky from Chorba and Durange for the top 3. We'll just wait for the judges to confirm that, though. Yes, there we go. So Hungary, and France through to the A final, and then Vanessa Tot, Audrey Harper, Maria Maillard, who surprised me a little bit, back there in 6th position, and Nicole Pimentel from Mexico in lane number finished 7th, sorry. So they will have a B final later on. All right, some good racing so far. Now we've got to move the starting buckets again. We're moving them out to the 1,000 meters for a semi-final in the C1 1000, and what a race it's going to be. We'll build up the excitement. We'll give you a couple of minutes to get yourself settled. Go get a drink or something. We've got, I think, around 5 minutes to the start time for this semi-final. So we'll just take a quick break, and then we'll be back to bring you the action from the men's C1 1000 first semi-final.
4 minutes to the start of race number 74, C1 man 1000 meters semi-final 1. In lane 1, Mexico. Lane 2, Canada. Lane 3, Japan. Lane 4, Germany. Lane 5, Cuba. Lane 6, Czech Republic. Lane 7, Taipei. Lane 8, Estonia. Lane 9, Japan. Three minutes to start. 3 minutes. Paddlers to the start area, please.
All right, so let's turn our attention now to what should be a absolutely cracking semi-final here. It's the men's C1 1000. Of course, this is the Olympic event, and we have the Olympic champion. In fact, there he is, lane number 6, representing the Czech Republic, Martin Fuchser. Every race he's been out in so far this season, last weekend in Szeged and so far here in Poznan, he's gone out hard. He's just reminding people he is the Olympic champion and he's not going to give up that title. I wouldn't mind betting that he set himself a goal of not being beaten in this Olympic cycle. That's the sort of professional he has, and it's not a bad goal to have, I reckon, Emma Wiggs, to go out there and set yourself a goal like that. So lane 1, it'll be Jose Gil from Mexico. Lane 2, Connor Fitzpatrick from Canada. Lane 3, Shohu Hasumi from Japan. Lane 4, the German David Bausch. Lane 5, the Cuban Jose Ramon Pelea Cordova. Martin Fuchser in lane number 6. In lane 7, the impressive Taipei athlete Kunchai Lei. And then in lane 8, the Estonian Jusup Carlsen. And in lane 9, the Japanese paddler Hikaru Sato. So the first 3 athletes in this semi-final go straight through. We have 3 semi-finals, so there's nobody yet qualified for the 1,000-meter final. So 3 from this semi-final, 3 from the next one, and then 3 from the third semi-final. But there's always an air of excitement, is there, Emma, when you have a champion out on the water?
I think so. I think it kind of gives that extra edge. It allows you to assess yourself against someone of that level and that standing. And I just think it's just amazing to be able to race against these real icons and champions of our sport. So I'm sure everyone on that start line will be wanting to deliver their best race against Fuchser. But I think we probably are in for a close-ish race, maybe for that second and third spot through to the A final. But we never know. That's the beauty of our sport. We never quite know what's going to happen. But Cordova, he got the gold in the 5K last weekend in Szeged. So the longer distance, but probably also one to keep an eye on. But that really recognisable boat from Fuchser, with his white cap on and his blue boat, you can see that standing out across the field. So it'll be interesting to see whether he goes off like a bullet and stays in the lead for the whole thing. But they're coming into the buckets now and under starters orders.
I think he has a fairly tried and trusted method now, which seems to be working pretty well for him. So I doubt that he'll want to change his approach to racing at this stage. It seems to have served him very, very well. So it is an interesting question. Does everybody now just focus on second and third because they know that Fuchser will go out hard? And I'm sure nobody wants to try and bust a gut trying to keep up with Martin Fuchser. But let's just wait and see. Maybe looks like the Taipei paddler Kunchai Lei has really flown out of the starting blocks to try and keep up. But already we have Martin Fuchser. He's moved into the lead already. In fact, he's almost a boat length in front already of it looks like Bausch from Germany across there in the middle of the field. Also putting up a good run is Pelea Cordova from Cuba, and the Taipei paddler Lei down here in the white boat closest to the camera. So starting to spread them out already, and we're not even at the 250-meter stage. So Martin Fuchser has got his wish. He's really scattered this field, and they are now all over the shop. There's no coordinated attack. There's no it seems, group think behind this. It's each man to their own, Emma, and it's a good tactic for Martin Fuchser and one that served him well so far.
Yeah, he's literally into his rhythm as we would have expected, and looks really comfortable at the head of the field. I think Bausch is paddling really well for Germany over in lane 4, and Cordova is staying definitely in the hunt and in the fight. One thing that these paddlers are going to have to kind of hope and consider is that the athletes that are warming up for their races down that lane 0 on the far side don't create too much wash by doing efforts. Hopefully everyone is aware. There is a traffic light system, I think, over in Poznan, down certainly at the finish line, to try and control the athletes going up and down that lane. So hopefully everyone is being considerate as they warm up and not creating too much wash. But I'm not sure wash is going to bother Martin Fuchser. He looks very, very calm and confident as he just stretches his lead ever so slightly. But Bausch still paddling brilliantly for Germany in lane 4, and Cordova coming back at him now, looking to try and put the pressure on and see whether that pressure of someone next to you causes that technique to crumble.
Yep, Fuchser still going about the business, and I think now that Cordova and Bausch would realise, I'm assuming if they've had a sneaky look, that they've pretty well got a stranglehold on positions 2 and 3. First 3 will go straight through to the final, and that has got to be the goal now, you would think, for the Cuban and the German. I think they would have put out of their mind any hope of winning this race, unless Martin Fuchser decides to really take his foot off the pedal, but that is not the Fuchser style. He will push this right through to the line, I'm sure. So still a pretty big gap. Connor Fitzpatrick, by the way, in the red boat at the top of the screen, is putting up a little bit of a show. Now, there's still a way to go. Maybe Connor's got his sights set on maybe sneaking up there and snatching a 3rd spot, but he's really going to have to put the wings on that keel if he wants to try and haul in the boats 2 and 3, because at the moment it is easily Fuchser in front. Bausch now moving into a clear 2nd position. Pellier Cordova, the Cuban, is in 3rd. The Taipei paddler Lay has dropped off a little bit as well. Connor Fitzpatrick's the only threat to this top 3, and I don't know now that there's enough water left for Connor Fitzpatrick to make up that distance. So Martin Fuchser, as we expected, has gone out and looks pretty darn comfortable in the lead. Pellier Cordova and Bausch fighting for 2nd. Looks like Bausch is putting up a bit of a splurge at the end there, and just starting to close in actually a little bit on Martin Fuchser, but I don't think Fuchser's too worried. Time's not important, just the win. And let's see as he cruises down across the finish line. Fuchser 1st, Bausch 2nd, Pellier Cordova 3rd, and Connor Fitzpatrick threw everything at that to try and to bridge that gap, but it was a bridge too far, unfortunately, for the Canadian. He will miss out on the A final, but we'll get to strut his stuff in the B final a little bit later on, as will Quancha Lei from Taipei. We're waiting to see who will be the 3rd athlete to cross the line who will go into the B final. But Martin Fuchser puffing just a little bit, but doesn't show a lot of emotion straight after a race. He got that poker face, and the beard again, Emma Weeks.
I know. I've got bad news about the beard, Ross. Me and you were very confident that that beards are gonna add extra power, but we'll come back to that later on, because the next heat, the next semi-final, is that off or is that just a replay?
No,
that's a replay.
That's a replay. That's the replay. No,
Good.
you've got
So
time to tell us some
you...
beard facts. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, I asked ChatGDP about beards and whether they were going to aid athletic performance, and unfortunately, apparently there is no scientific evidence that a beard will add speed, power, or strength to your athletic performance. However, there is a silver lining, Ross. There is something known as the Sampson effect. So the psychological factor, where having a beard and having long hair even can often give people the psychological feeling of being pumped and more powerful. So there could be something in our beard, our theory about beards and whether they're going to make athletes faster. So I think we should stick with it. I think it's good to see, and I think we're onto something. I think beards are powerful.
Well, I certainly think if you're sitting in a starting line and you turn across, look over your shoulder, and you see a bearded competitor next to you, there is a very good chance it's going to instill a bit of fear in you, because people think of the marauding tribes that used to go through entire countries and burn down buildings and take over parliaments and do all that sort of stuff. Always had beards. And I think there's a little bit of that, maybe. That it's certainly the psychological factor. Let's check out how many beards there are in this race. I think down closest to the camera, I think Kizek might be a bearded athlete. We'll have to check that later on. So we have Sung from Taipei in lane 1. We have Demopoulos from Greece in lane 2. Plomtuk from Canada in lane 3. Daniel Fejes from Hungary in lane 4. Looking forward to this battle with Carlo Tacchini from Italy in lane 5. Then the Pole Saradzin in lane 6. Thomas Lambert from GB in lane 7. Yi Chen from China in lane 8. And Peter Kizak from Slovakia in lane number 9. And already it's starting to look like one of those flying V bird formations that you sometimes see in the sky, because they've got the middle of the course out there in the lead, and as they fan out towards the either side of the course, the athletes are just dropping back a little bit. But at this stage, it does look like it is in fact Carlo Tacchini and Daniel Fejes, the Italian and the Hungarian, who've gone out the fastest. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Tacchini in lane 5 and Fejes in lane 4. Good race for third at the moment. It looks like it could be Saradzin from Poland and maybe Chen from China, and then across to the other side of the course, I think it could well be is that Plomtex from Canada, who might be sitting up there at the moment, also trying to get into a battle for third. But it's Carlo Tacchini, the Olympian, the silver medalist in the C2 in Paris, who's gone out to take the early lead from Daniel Fejes from Hungary.
Yeah, both of them strong performances in their heats, and Fejes looking like he is just biding his time possibly and hoping that he's got another burst to come back at Tacchini. But he doesn't really need to, remember, because it's the top 3 that go through to the A final. But they will certainly be wanting to put down a marker. Chen from China coming through now. Thomas Lambert not doing too badly from Great Britain. He's up there in the hunt for a hopeful B final performance, but still all to play for. But Tacchini from Italy in the lead. Chen and Fejes just looking like they're fighting out for second. Could be quite tight towards the end of this race. We've got the home athlete Szczan from Poland also looking for one of those top 3 spots, but don't ever count out the Canadian C1 paddlers. Plomex over in lane 3, looking like he is also still on the hunt for one of those A final spots. But Tacchini looking in control, looking like he is literally stretching out his lead, looking very, very comfortable. Still a real fight on, Ross, for second and third.
Well, and in fact, it looks like Chen is starting to close the gap a little bit on Carlo Tacchini. Bit hard to tell on this angle, but Tacchini definitely in front. Chen is starting to make up a bit of ground. Now, Fejes currently sits in third, but keep an eye on the Polish paddler Saradzin. He's starting to make a move through as well. He wants a bit of finals action here in front of his home crowd. But Carlo Tacchini has gone out from the start, a man on a mission. Chen and Fejes, you cannot get a struck match between the two. They are edging together into second position. And look there at the top of the screen, it looks like it is Plomtex from Canada, is that they're starting to come into the mix now as well, possibly even moving into third. And down here at the bottom of the course, it looks like it's the Saradzin as well. So it's starting to tighten up a little bit for third. It is Tacchini in front. Fejes is second. Chen trying to hang on to third, but he's got a few challengers who are trying to snatch that third position off him. Tacchini has a sneaky look over at towards the Chinese paddler. He sees that he's got this one safe, so Tacchini will come down to the finish line and take the win. He looks over his other shoulder. No one there to worry about. Tacchini first, Fejes second, and Chen holds on for third, just ahead of the fast finishing Canadian Alex Plomtex, who's put in a very good race ahead of the B final, and then I think it is Serensen from Poland and maybe Thomas Lambert, who might well have booked himself a place in the B final. But Carlo Tacchini, sending the message today, went out from the start, took the lead early on, and just defied running down. Really strong performance, a front running performance from the Italian C2 silver medalist from Paris last year.
Yeah, it looks like it was a fantastic race from those three athletes. Really, the positions didn't change hugely from those starting first sort of 100 meters. They kind of settled in. Fejes and Chen from China slightly fighting for that second spot, but really confident paddling from those three athletes. But an incredible finish from the Canadian over in lane 3. So he'll be hopeful of delivering again in the B final to try and secure one of those top spots.
So we await confirmation, but it looked pretty clear cut to the naked eye that it was. Let's have a look. Yes, there's confirmation. So Tacchini safely through Fejes and Chen, and then the B final will be Plomtux, Seredsen and Thomas Lambert. He'll be pretty happy with that, would he, Emma, to be getting a bit of B final action here? I mean, I know he would have come here hoping to be able to race for a gold medal, but into the B final gives him a chance out on the water.
Yeah, he's another youngster. He's got his sights set on LA and beyond. So he's shown really good progression this year. So I think he'll be delighted to be in the B final. He made the B final last weekend in Szeged. So I think he'll be looking to try and consolidate his performances and hopefully deliver a slightly better in the B final this weekend.
So now the third and final of the men's C1 1000 semi-finals, and we have in lane 1, we have Max Grandes from Peru, Moritz Adam from Germany in lane 2, Lukasz Witkowski from Poland in lane 3, Jonathan Grady from the United States in lane 4, Gabriel Cassidy from Italy in lane 5, Shengyu Wu from China in lane 6, Yuri Vanjuk from Ukraine in lane 7, Arthur Scales from Denmark in lane 8, and then a second American paddler, Edward Searles, out in lane 9. Gabriel Cassidy was so impressive last week. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a selection thing going on here between Cassidy and his C2 teammate, Carlo Tacchini, because they have both gone out to do the K1 and they're both racing like their lives depend on it. Sorry, the C1. They're both racing like their lives depend on it, Emma, and so I'm expecting Gabriel Cassidy in lane 5 to go out and to really try and snatch a win here in this semi-final. But it's the Chinese paddler, I think Shengyu Wu, who's got the best of the start. There he is. He's gone out and has taken the early lead. The yellow boat next to him belongs to Yuri Vanjuk from Ukraine, and then it is the Italian Cassidy, who's in the smack bang in the middle of the field, who's starting to get into a bit of rhythm now. At the top of the course, Moritz Adam and Lukasz Witkowski, so the German and the Pole, also very accomplished paddlers, and the American there as well, Jonathan Grady. But at this stage, it is the Chinese paddler Shengyu Wu, who's now being challenged by Gabriel Cassidy from Italy. So Cassidy and Wu, and then it's the Ukrainian Vanjuk, who's just dropping back, getting into a rhythm now and sitting in third. And at the top of the screen, it is Moritz Adam from Germany, who possibly heads the rest. But now, Emma, the Italian Gabriel Cassidy is flexing his muscles. He's moved into a clear lead.
Really interesting again to see, isn't it, the different power starts. So the Chinese athlete Wu had a really good start, but Cassidy clearly has a really great conversion phase from his race. So he's used his starting strokes and converted that into some really great running speed, and he's really then just come past Wu, the Chinese athlete, to take a commanding lead. He's nearly up a boat length on the Chinese athlete, but the others are still fighting it out for those top these two other places for the A final. But Cassidy is certainly looking like he has now got great running speed in his boat, and he's just going to consolidate that and keep edging ahead of the rest of the field. So he comes through that marker at 500, looking like he is in a commanding lead. The Chinese athlete Wu in second place, but it's a battle for third between Ukraine in lane 7 and the Canadian over in lane 1, Grandes? looking like they
No,
are.
I think it's the German. I think it's the German Moritz Adam
Oh, it's the
over there
German.
in lane. I think so. Yes, it is the German who's sitting there, Moritz Adam, in lane 2, who may now actually have moved into third position, sorry, but it is a very, very close race there for third. So we'll keep an eye on that. But look at Gabriel Cassidy. He has really pinned his ears back, and he is putting a lot of distance between himself and the rest of the field. Shengyu Wu now, I think, is resigned to the fact that he's not going to win the race, making sure that he holds on to second. And look at this battle for the third position between Moritz Adam from Germany and I think it's Yuri Vanduk in the yellow boat from Ukraine. So it's Adam at the top of the course and Vanduk down here at the bottom of the course. So that's an interesting race as well. But we're looking, at the moment, it is still Gabriel Cassidy coming down towards the finish of this 1,000 meter race. As he's been from nearly the outset, Shengyu Wu sitting there in second. The German, Moritz Adam, making a bit of a move now, trying to get up there, making sure, and unfortunately for Yuri Vanduk, look at him, he is stopped as though shot. He has dropped the anchor, unfortunately, Emma, and he is going backwards faster than he's going forward, so he is out of the running. No doubt about our winner, though, Gabriel Cassidy. He's coming down now to the finish line. The interest will be in second and third. I think Moritz Adam making a big charge for second, but I don't know that he'll get there. But let's see. Gabriel Cassidy crosses the finish line. A very, very impressive winner. Wu holds on for second, and Moritz Adam gets up, I think, to grab third spot. So a very good race there for Moritz Adam, edging out local hope Lukasz Witkowski from Poland. But gee, I tell you what, the Italians, they're going to be very strong in this. It's going to be fascinating to see these two Italians going head to head, just like they did last week. And I think Cassidy got the bragging rights last week, but Carlo Tacchini, I've known him for a long time. He's a very, very proud man, and he'll be very, very keen to get one back this week over his C2 teammate. Both of them very, very impressive. I think that they will have a very, very good race in the final. Can either of them beat Martin Fuchser? I don't know, but it's going to be a great race. It'll be really exciting to see how they go.
Absolutely. I think that was a commanding performance from the Italian, but what a killer to see the Ukrainian athlete's tank just empty and his boat go backwards. It's so soul destroying to feel your body just suddenly empty and you've got nothing left to give. And that could be a fueling thing, or it could just be a fatigue from the racing they've already done. But great performance from Italy, and I can't wait for this final. It's certainly going to be a neck and neck battle down this whole 1,000-meter course.
And there we have the confirmation. Cassidy first, Wu second. Moritz Adam did get up there to grab third. And unfortunately for Lukasz Witkowski, he's missed out on an A final, but he will get to run in the B final, as will Arthur Scales. We didn't call Arthur Scales during the race, so he obviously had a very good finish there from Denmark. Yuri Vanduk did hold on to get that last spot in the B final, so it'll be interesting to see what he's learned from this race and how he'll approach the B final a little bit later on. But yeah, that A final is looking pretty exciting, I have to say. All right, we're going to stick with the 1,000 meters because now we have the K1 men in the first semi-final. There are 3 semi-finals here as well, and the first 3 will go through to the final. And it's going to be some very, very keen racing indeed. We've got a couple of Olympic gurus in there. We've got some Olympic wannabes here. And this first race, let's go through the field. We've got in lane 1, the German Tobias Hammer. In lane 2, the Chinese paddler Jinyang Li. In lane 3, Daniel Johnson from Great Britain. In lane 4, Augustin Vernice from Argentina. The Irish paddler Ronan Foley, great to see him here this week in lane 5. Thorben Rusk from Denmark in lane 6. Andrea Scherer from Italy in lane 7. Great to see Mads Petersen, the marathon champion, here this week from Denmark in lane 8, and Cameron Lowe from Canada in lane number 9. We are underway again. The first 3 will go straight through to the final. I'm expecting a big show from the Argentinian Augustin Vernice, who's been shown a lot of consistency so far this week. And in fact, already he's gone out to challenge for the lead. Alongside him, Thorben Rusk from Denmark. And down here closest to the camera, it looks like it is Mads Petersen from Denmark as well. So the two Danes going out strong, the Argentinian Venice, and Ronan Foley, I think, in the green boat up there. Emma putting out a bit of cheek early on and getting up there amongst the early leaders.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching him race yesterday. It was a really commanding performance. And also Dan Johnson over in lane 3 from Great Britain in the fight as well. He normally comes out really fast and then tries to hold that for the whole 1,000 meters. So he's under a bit of pressure with Venice taking the lead ever so slightly from Rask, but Rask looks like he's also edging back into the lead. It's going to be neck and neck between these boats. Very even split across the field, so this is going to be exciting. Don't discount Pedersen, because he was in about 4th or 5th yesterday and came through really strongly to get one of the top spots. So this is going to be exciting as we come down the 1,000 meter course. But Venice looking very commanding in that black boat over in lane 4. Dan Johnson staying with them and is still in the fight, but Rask from Denmark is slightly ahead at this point, I think, of Venice. But oh no, Venice has gone back in the lead at the 500 meter mark. So it's definitely between those two fighting it out for first and second. Pedersen is literally just coming into third, but don't forget about Hammer over in lane 1 and Johnson in lane 3.
Yeah, the race for third is starting to look very, very tight. And look at Mads Petersen. He's, as you said, Emma, the back end of his race as a marathon paddler, you'd expect to be pretty strong. Thorben Rusk, though, is also a marathon paddler, and he's gone out very, very hard to challenge Venice from Argentina. So it's Rusk and Venice, and the race for third is interesting. Tobias Hammer from Germany making a big move in lane 1. Mads Petersen now also trying to come through to grab that spot. And in fact, maybe at the moment it's Mads Petersen who's just got his nose in front of the Italian Andrea Scherer. So it's a good race going on there. And I tell you what, because they're racing so hard against each other, I think they're pulling in close slowly Thorben Rusk, who needs to be a little bit careful, the Dane, that he doesn't fall asleep here and get run over the top of. It's the Argentina Augustin Venice, though, I think, who is leading maybe just from Thorben Rusk. The race for third is close. Mads Petersen just in front of Andrea Scherer from Italy. Petersen now really picking up the speed, putting in a bit of distance between himself and Scherer. But it is a good race for first. It is Venice from Argentina, Rusk from Denmark. They've been going at each other for this entire 1,000 meters. Who's got the petrol in the tank? Who wants to win? Who's just happy to get into the final? Rusk looks across. He sees Scherer there. He sees no one else on that side of the course. He's digging deep. He wants the win. Thorben Rusk wants the win. Does Scherer... oh, I think Rusk maybe Thorben Rusk. He really dug deep. He looked like he really wanted that win, and Augustin Venice possibly just pipped on the line, but I say that with no confidence at all. And I think Mads Petersen did come through to grab the third spot. But you saw then Thorben Rusk, he looked across, he looked at Venice, and he thought, can I get you? And he thought, I'm going to give it a go. And he did. He pinned the ears back. He put in some big hard yards towards the finish, and I think, Emma Wiggs, maybe he just got there by a coat of varnish.
Yeah, unbelievable at the end of 1,000 meters to think that you can look across and just put an extra spurt in to try and get the win. I think Tobias Hammer from Germany looked like he was potentially putting pressure on Pedersen. Obviously, they're too far apart to have been able to sense that in each other, but it looked very tight on the line for those two athletes to try and get that third spot through to the A final. So we might need a photo on that too. I can't call it between Venice and Rask. I think it is potentially just Rask, literally by a coat of paint, like you say, but I think it might be Hammer over on the top in lane 1. Hammer time possibly to get the last spot in the A final, but let's wait for the people that are paid the big bucks, Ross, to look at the photo finish.
Well, the people who have the very expensive magnifying glasses. We've only got our naked eye to go on, Emma, but the cameras are liking the look of Thorben Rusk. I think he got there, but not by much. But let's just wait and see what the judges Oh, goodness me. Yes, yes, he did. By 0.06 of a second. It's so tight. And yes, well done, Tobias Hammer. By 0.2 of a second, tipping out Mads Pedersen for that third spot. So a really well judged race there from the German. Going from lane one, they were virtually on opposite sides of the course. So they would have had no idea, I don't think, where each other was. And so Tobias Hammer edging out the Dane Mads Pedersen for that last spot in the A final. And then Peterson, Scherer, and Daniel Johnson gets through to the B final. Emma, Ronan Foley just missing out into the C final. Well done, though, Thorben Rusk, making a bit of a statement there.
Yeah, great race. And then we've got the next semi-final just coming down to the starting area. Wind looks like it's picked up a little bit, but it looks like it's a bit straighter now on the water out there than it was first thing this morning. So hopefully a bit more even for all those paddlers to be dealing with, and helpful that it's a slight tail rather than a head.
Yeah, let's have a look at the field for the second semi-final. In lane one, representing Czechia, Andrej Hirsch. In lane two, the Italian, Samuel Burgo. In lane three, the Dutchman, Milan Dekker. In lane four, the Slovakian, Samuel Balaz. In lane five, the German, Jakob Thordsen. In lane six, the Australian, Thomas Green. In lane seven, Cheng Yang Xiao from China. Lane eight, Mizuku Aoki from Japan. And in lane 9, closest to the camera, the home of Eurovision 2026, the Austrian Timon More. I don't want people to think, by the way, that I'm totally focused on Eurovision, but Australia was robbed. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I've got nothing more to say about that. We are underway. Can Thomas Green get a bit of revenge for Australia over the Austrian? That's not what it's all about. Don't worry about that, folks. Look at this start. So we are seeing there, I think it's the Slovakian Samuel Balaz and the German Jakob Thordsen who've gone out. Thomas Green is with them there from Australia, and then a good line across the course in fourth position. But it is Balaz from Slovakia, Thordsen from Germany, and Green from Australia who've gone out, taken the early lead. 3 boats will go straight through to the A final, the next 3 to the B final. So there's a lot at stake here. These boys, they haven't come here for a stroll. They really want to race for gold in this prestige event. This is the Olympic event, of course, the men's K1 1000, one of the most gut-wrenching events on the program. And it looks like maybe now, Emma, Jakob Thordsen, look, you could not, as they go past the next markers, there's not much between them.
No, there's not. And I was really impressed by Thorsten in his heat. He looked really impressive. Along with Tom Green, to be honest, he led for most of his heat, just lost a bit of ground in the back end stages of the race. But he has a great running speed to his boat. So I've been impressed by him over the last couple of weekends. But you can't really put much between these 3 boats at the start. Balaz, Thorsten and Green taking it out. I would expect these 3 to be our 3 that will go through to the A final. But in which order is what we're going to find out. So Thomas Green just leading at the halfway spot from Balaz and then Thorsten. But it really is very, very close between those 3 athletes. We haven't seen a race quite this close at this stage so far in this World Cup here in Poznan. And that must be a lovely feeling to be there alongside paddlers, knowing that you are literally fighting for those spots.
Yeah, question time now for these athletes. Do they just settle now to get into the final, or do they want a really good middle lane for the final? Thordsen's got a very strong finish, so I've been watching him over the last 200 metres. I guess if they can look across, there's probably no real threat to them at the moment. Samuel Burgo from Italy is trying to make up the difference, but he's a fair way back, to be honest. I don't think there's enough water there for him to rope in these top 3. Tom Green just edging ahead now from Balaz. Thordsen biding his time in the middle there. Just watch his finish. If he really is desperate to win this, he will dig deep, but maybe he's just taking the foot off the pedal here a little bit, just conserving a little bit of energy. That's what it looks like to me, Emma. He's not too fussed, I don't think, about winning this semi-final. Just happy to get into the final and then to have another crack at it. Tom Green still putting in the hard yards, although maybe the 3 of them now are starting to think, well, we've got the job done. I think of all of them, Samuel Balaz is the one who's still really putting in the hard yards. Tom Green, to me, seems to be just working his way back through the gears as he heads up towards the finish line. But it is Samuel Balaz from Slovakia, Tom Green from Australia, Jakob Thorsen definitely, I think, now cruising to the finish line, as is Tom Green. Look at that. That's a very leisurely style from Tom Green. They're happy to let Samuel Balaz go out and take the glory, and he's done it in style. Green and Thorsen, it's like they're off for a picnic. Tom yells out to Jakob, "Did you bring the basket?" "Yes." "Tom, did you bring the blanket?" "Yes." "Excellent. Where are we going to have our picnic? Why don't we have it right here at the finish line in the semi-final for the men's K1 1000? That's what it looked like. But well done, Samuel Balaz, getting the job done. But those three paddlers, Emma, had the race locked away from the halfway stage of that event.
Absolutely. They started strongly, and then once they got into their rhythm, it was really clear that it was going to be between these three. I think Poznan as a course, it isn't usually that laney, so I don't think they'll necessarily be super concerned about the lane draw. I think people do like to be in the middle of the race, but they looked pretty comfortable with just cruising their way into the final. And it's funny you talked about a picnic. My first ever international race, Ross, back in 2013, the night before I had a dream, and I was paddling my boat, and halfway down the course I looked in my lap and I saw this beautifully packed sandwich, and I stopped and opened it and ate it, which I clearly couldn't do in my boat because I would fall in. But that was my dream that I had the night before my first international race. So there must be some great picnics that you can have when you're out canoeing, but maybe not on the international stage.
Well, and I reckon there'll be some dream analyzers who are watching this broadcast who can maybe let us know what is the meaning of Emma's dream there, that she had a sandwich in her lap. Better that than dreaming that you looked down and you had a huntsman spider sitting in your lap or something like that, because that would be a game changer. That would be a deal breaker, I reckon, Emma. I don't know how easy it would be for you to get out of your boat mid-race, but I reckon if you looked down and you saw a big hairy funnel web or tarantula sitting there looking back at you, I know where I'd be going, and I wouldn't be paddling towards the finish.
I'd be getting out my boat pretty quick.
I think you would be. And of course, don't forget, when you come down to Australia for the next Olympics and Paralympics, there's every chance that you'll have a killer spider that'll turn up in your equipment at some stage. So just bear that in mind. No, I'm only kidding, folks. It never happens. It won't happen. It won't happen. Crocodiles, yes. Killer spiders, no. All right, let's have a look now at the third semi-final in the men's K1 1000. And gee, there's some big names in this race. Holy moly. In lane 1, representing Canada, we have Vincent Jordanis. In lane 2, representing Belgium, we have Artur Peters. In lane 3, representing Hungary, we have the Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Balint Kopacz. Right next to him, representing Czechia, the Paris Olympic champion Josef Dostal. So 2 Olympic champions, cheek by jowl, out there in lanes 3 and 4. Lane 5, representing New Zealand, Quade Thompson. Lane 6, representing Latvia, Danilo Machuda. In lane 7, Maguire Reid from Australia, who must be pinching himself now, thinking, goodness me, here I am in a race, in a semi-final with 2 Olympic champions. Is this what I signed up for? In lane number 8 from Slovenia, Matej Manfreda. And in lane number 9, representing France, Maxime Magali. So we would expect Kopacz to go out fast. Peters will be sitting there around midfield, and Josef Dostal will drop out to the back, probably throw his fishing line in, see if he can catch a couple of fish, reel them in, then pack the rod away and fly home for the finish. That's the normal Dostal way. And as you can see already, in the middle of the field, the big man in the red boat, just at the moment, just looking around, trying to find a good fishing spot while the rest of the paddlers head out. And it looks like it is Maguire Reid from Australia, who probably thinks, well, at some stage, I want to lead the semi-final that has 2 Olympic champions in it. And he is. I think he just has his nose in front from Balint Kopacz, Artur Peters, there in lanes 3 and 2, respectively. But a very close race across the middle of the field. Don't you worry about Josef Dostal, though. He will not be panicking at all. In fact, if anything, he's probably surprised to be as close as he is at this stage of the race, because quite often, by about now, he's dropped well back. So he's probably thinking, oh, this is a bit of a stroll. I'm very, very close to the lead. Balint Kopaz right next to him, Emma.
Yeah, I think probably my favourite race from last weekend was Dostal, when we were worried about him, Ross, weren't we? Because he was kind of middle of the pack to back of the pack, and then suddenly we looked up and he was in second place coming through to steal the win. So really impressive paddle from Maguire Reid, the youngster for Australia. He started really well in his heat yesterday. But I think at the minute we've got Kopaz and Peters over on that far side, looking like they are also challenging. And don't forget, we've got Quade Thompson and Maguire Reid also fighting for those top spots. Thompson paddled really well. He battled with Dan Johnson in his heat yesterday. So really close at the minute. We've got Kopaz and then Peters and then Thompson and then the young Australian Reid in the top 4 places. But as you said, don't discount Dostal. He is just sitting there biding his time, waiting for his chance to strike. So they will be slightly unnerved that he is just behind them. But at the minute, as it stands, we've got Kopaz in the lead. Second, just ever so slightly by, is Peters, with then Maguire, Reid and Thompson. But I'm sure Dostal will start putting his foot down now. In fact, he's come through Reid and he's now got Thompson in his sights as the next target.
It's a bit like, Emma, it's a bit like, you know, when you're about to go into a room and you reckon there's a fair chance there's someone hiding behind the door. That's what's happening here, because the paddlers out in front, they know that hiding behind the door is the big check. He's packed his fishing rod away. There's nothing biting today, so now he's turned his focus to this race and he's moving his way through the field now. So Kopaz thinks now is the time for me to make my move. So Kopaz has moved out in front of Arthur Peters from Belgium. Dostal now has eased his way in the blink of an eye. He's moved his way into third. Quade Thompson's heart has just broken. He's looked across, and there's Dostal looking across both ways. He's looking, yeah, this is fun. I'm having a good time here. Quade Thompson fighting back. Good on you, Quade Thompson. You take it up to the Olympic champion, my boy. He is saying, hang on a moment, I'm not done yet. I'd like a bit of a final action. So Quade Thompson pushing hard. I don't think he's going to get there, though. Kopaz will get the win. Peters second. Dostal gets third. Good race there for Quade Thompson. Really, really brave performance from the young New Zealander. And then on the far side of the course, I think it was the Frenchmen, Margaly and Maguire Reid from Australia, who might also have snuck his way, sneaked into the B final. But Balint Kopaz doing what he has to do there. The Tokyo Olympic champion, such a consistent paddler. You rarely see him go out and put in a bad race. So he got the job done there, put down a little bit of a reminder to us all that he was once the Olympic champion. I mean, once Olympic champion, always an Olympic champion, of course. But that is a very strong race. Arthur Peters, just very consistent as always. Just such a strong, consistent paddler. Gets that pace going early, maintains it. If there's one thing he probably doesn't have to his game, and that is that burst that you sometimes need at the finish of a race. But he'll be very happy to be racing in yet another A final. And there you have Joseph Dostal crossing into third position.
I just don't think we should ever underestimate the skill level involved in what Dostal does. To be able to know that you can sit back in the field and that you've got enough time and enough speed and enough power to take you through to those qualification positions is an absolutely incredible skill to possess, and one that must be slightly disheartening when the others are paddling flat out down the course. But hugely impressive again. An example of these talented athletes in the men's K1000 metres. And confirmation, Kopaz takes the win and into final A. Peters in second, half a second behind, and Dostal in third, 1.4 behind the winner, Kopaz. Quade Thompson can be really happy with that going into the B final, just neck and neck with some of those really, really top paddlers. So he'll be looking for a really great performance in the B final.
All right, we are moving the starting buckets now. We need to bring them forward to the 500 metre mark because we've got semi-finals in the women's K1 500 coming up. So we'll take a little break. The advertised starting time is 10:56 local time, so in about 4 minutes from now. So I'm just going to fill up my water bottle, stick my head outside, see what the weather's like, and then we'll be back with you in a couple of minutes.
już za 4 minuty kolejne starty, tym razem przeniesiemy się na dystans połowy krótszy, czyli KM 500 metrów kobiet.
If you're just joining us, you're just in time to see the women's K1 500 metres semi-finals. The athletes looking to make it through to A finals, B finals and C finals in the women's 500 metres K1. So we've got some exciting action coming up for you in a couple of minutes.
And there you see the world's best time for the 500 metres is held by New Zealand's Amy Fisher, and just by chance, right on cue, Amy Fisher will be in the first semi-final here. The top 3 paddlers to go through to the final. And I tell you what, this is going to be a very, very interesting race, because you have in lane 1 Nan Wang, the Chinese paddler who's been really eye-catching and impressive last week and again this week. Martina Klatt from Poland. Lucrezia Zeroni from Italy goes out very, very fast. Amy Fisher from New Zealand. Pauline Jacques from Germany. The veteran Anya Osterman, such an experienced paddler. Alexandra Clark from Australia. Jixan Chen from Singapore. And then in the outside, Lingya Chen from China. So we have Chinese on both sides of the course. But there in the black shirt, that is Amy Fisher. Probably a little bit disappointed in her 500 metre result last weekend, so absolutely determined. She's such a professional, set such a high standard for herself, so she will be very, very determined to make amends this week. But it is a very, very good semi-final with lots and lots of class in right across the course.
Yeah, it's such an exciting semi-final. Amy Fisher was hugely impressive yesterday in the 1,000 metres and the 500. She won her 1,000 metre heat by 14 seconds. So she's definitely got something to prove this weekend in Poznan. So it'll be exciting to see how she goes. Top 3 will go through to the A final. It's going to be a tight one, Ross, to call, I think. I think it could be really exciting between all of these boats. They're in the starting buckets, just under starters' orders, waiting to get off and see what the next about 1 minute 50, possibly 1 minute 48 has in store for them. And they're off and they're out, and they've all started strongly. Amy Fisher looking to get a really good start out of that starting bucket. I'm sure the other paddlers are not going to let her have it all her own way, but she is an incredible paddler, an incredible professional, and looking to get her speed in her boat up and then running and hopefully convert that into a really efficient race down this 500 metre course. She is currently just in the lead
Yep, Fischer, we haven't had a wide angle shot yet, so we can't get a real idea of where she is. Looks like Jax from Germany is up there with her as well, but it is Fischer in front. Remember, it's the top three that go through to the final. We're still waiting to get a shot across the course to get an idea of exactly where these athletes are, but it does look like Fischer is in front, Jax from Germany right alongside her, and then maybe it's Zeroni from Italy sitting in third position. But Fischer and Jax now moves into the front. Looks like Fischer's happy for that to happen. She's happy to let Pauline Jax take the running in the lead. So Fischer sitting back in second. It's Zeroni from Italy currently third. So it's Jax 1, Fischer 2, Zeroni 3. At the moment, if you were to stop the race now, they are the three athletes going through to the final, but we've got about 100 metres to go. Now Fischer digs deep. Fischer trying to get back on level terms with Jax. It's Fischer, it's Jax, and Zeroni not going away either from Italy. She's really putting in a brave race. But Amy Fischer digging deep now. She's really put down a challenge to Pauline Jax. So it's Fischer, and looks like across in the top of it's Nan Wang coming through as well, as we expected from China. But it is Fischer in front. Maybe Nan Wang's going to tip them all out for second. Fischer, Wang, Jax. There you go. Nan Wang in lane 1. We knew. Unfortunately, we didn't catch a lot of her on the camera. We probably needed to get a few more wider shots to get a better idea of where those athletes were, because Nan Wang in lane 1 did sneak up on us there. We expected that she would put on a pretty big show, but no doubt about our winner, Amy Fischer. Just happy to be headed at the halfway stage by the German Pauline Jax, but then when the whips were cracking towards the end of the field, she just found that little bit of extra power and got up to get the win. Nan Wang, I'm so excited to see her paddle. I don't know what she's capable.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race. Amy Fischer didn't look like she was panicking, just happy to exchange the lead with the German Jax and then take it back as they came in to the finish line. But Wang from China over in that far lane 1, sneaking up, probably took Zeroni a bit by surprise as she came through to steal second place. So Amy Fischer, New Zealand first, Wang, China second, Jax from Germany third, and the next 3 boats will go through to the B final, and the rest of the field will go through to a C final. So a lot more racing for these athletes, which is absolutely fantastic for them to be able to get more start lines. But a very commanding performance from Amy Fischer, never out of control, and looked really comfortable as she came through. So there's confirmation. 1 minute 50:59 for Amy Fischer to take the win. Nan Wang from China in second, Pauline Jax from Germany in third. Zeroni, Clark and Klatt from Poland go through to the B final, with the remaining athletes going through to the C final. And we are straight back up to the start for the second semi-final. In this one, we've got a full field again. Again, we're looking for the first 3 to the A final, the next 3 for B, and the final 3 for C. And we've got 2 British athletes in this race, so it could be a bit of a head-to-head for them, a race within a race. Emma Russell, Great Britain 1, Claudia Bailey, Australia 2, Vosselman, Netherlands 3, Deborah Kerr, Great Britain 4, Rendesi, the impressive Hungarian athlete, in 5, Peters from Belgium in 6, Konjing from Netherlands in 7, another Netherlands paddler, Lefoyen from France in 8, and Junkenko from Ukraine in 9. So they're in the starting buckets, waiting for those buckets to drop, just taking those last few breaths before they explode out of the starts.
If I remember correctly, Emma, the Dutch paddlers were K2 paddlers at the Olympics, so they are branching out now and having a crack at the K1 500. So we are underway, and let's see who has got the best of the starts here. It looks like maybe the black boat of Hermine Peters maybe has got a bit of a jump there on the rest of the field. But now look at Selma Konjan from the Netherlands also coming through in the black boat closest to the camera. It's really a line across the field of about 6 paddlers. Up in lane 2, Claudia Bailey from Australia has gone out pretty hard, so she is trying to get the early lead. But it's the black boat of Selma Konjan, I think, from the Netherlands, potentially in the lead early on. Hermine Peters is there. Rendesi is there. Deborah Kerr is there from Great Britain as well. This is a really good race for the top 3 positions.
Absolutely. It's really exciting to see that they got quite an even start out of the buckets, and now they're up and into their rhythm. And you can see there Konyin from the Netherlands stretching her lead ever so slightly with every single stroke. But Peters is not going to let her have it her own way. She is clinging on, as is Rendesi from Hungary. Deborah Kerr definitely still in the hunt for one of those top 3 spaces as they come through the 500 metre, the 200-metre mark coming down through the field. It's Konyin from Netherlands still in the lead, with Peters chasing her down. Rendesi literally on the nose of the Belgium's boat. So it's neck and neck. Deborah Kerr coming back strongly now. She has a great finish, Deborah Kerr. So she is looking to try and get one of those top 3 spaces. That would be a fantastic effort. But as it stands at the minute, it's Konyin from Netherlands coming down to take the win. She has just got a boat length ahead.
Yeah, Konyin, very impressive race here. Good race for second, though. It looks like it might be Rendesi moving into second. Who's going to get third, though? It's going to be very, very close. I think maybe in lane 3, the second of the Dutch paddlers, Ruth Vorselman, flew home to grab third spot. So what a result for the Dutch. First and third. If my eye saw correctly, she really flew home, Ruth Vorselman. So that is a great result for the Dutch. I'm pretty certain they were the K2 last year for the Olympic campaign. So that's a great result there. Selma Konyin, really impressive front-running performance from this Dutch paddler. Esther Rendesi holding on for second, and then I think that Vorselman has flown home to tip out Deborah Kerr and Hermine Peters for that cherished third position, Emma, to put her into an A final. But we'll need to wait for the judges. There's not a lot in it, but I reckon Deborah Kerr and Hermine Peters may have just missed out. Here we go, let's check this. So no doubt about our winner first, then Rendesi second, and let's have a look who did get third. I think it is Vorselman, the Dutch paddler, who has managed to get herself up there with a big finish. And I tell you what, if you're watching there back in the Netherlands, get your orange shirts out, get your orange scarves out, because you're going to have 2 paddlers in the final of the K1 Women's 500. And this young lady here, what a performance from Selma Konyin.
Yeah, fantastic race. I think Vorselman literally had the finish of her life to steal that third place out of the clutches of Deborah Kerr. But a really great paddle also by the British athlete to push her all the way. Emma Russell also squeezing into the B final. So fantastic to see 2 Brits there. So we've got Konyin, Netherlands 1, Rendesi, Hungary 2, Vorselman, Netherlands 3 into the A final. Kerr, Peters and Russell into the B final, and the other athletes going into a C final. So as expected, Ross, that was a tight one, but hugely impressive from the Dutch to get 2 athletes in that stacked field into the A final.
Any twitchers watching, by the way? What bird is that? There'll be someone watching somewhere around the world now. They go, oh yeah, that's one of those lame-breasted buckaroos. There it is. What is that? Beautiful looking bird. Emma Wiggs, do you know your birds? Do you know what that one is? It's very eye-catching.
That one is an LWB. An LWJ. It's a little white job. That one, Ross. It's known to
is that
Poznan,
what it's called?
And yeah, it's a very typical bird to be seen on the lake of Lake Malta.
Yeah, a beautiful bird anyway. Well spotted by our camera operator out there with an eye for the birds today, and found a good one sitting watching the activities. All right, we've got one more semi-final in the women's K1 500, and this is a very good field as well. In lane 1, we have Giada Rossetti from Italy. Lane 2, Jule Hake from Germany. Lane 3, representing Canada, Michelle Russell. In lane 4, Hungary, Soka Chikos. In lane 5, Anna Palaska from Poland. Lane 6, Bianca Sedova from Slovakia. Lane 7, representing Denmark, Sarah Milthers. In lane 8, representing Slovenia, Mia Medved. And then down closest to the camera in lane 9, Pamela Knudsen. Now, you would have to think on last week's form and the fact that she's now racing at home that Anna Pawlowska would have to have a stranglehold on this race. But there are some speed machines in this race. Jewel Hake is a very, very experienced paddler. Michelle Russell's very fast. And, of course, Solka Chikos from Hungary is impressive as well.
Yeah, I was hugely impressed by Pawlowska last weekend in Hungary, getting the double gold. I think my money's probably on her to take this one out from the start. But they're in the buckets and they're off first time, so fantastic start from all the athletes. Pawlowska in lane 5 took a really good start and has just edged ahead. But she's not having it all her own way. We've got Milthers from Denmark in lane 7 pushing her for that lead and just potentially needing to put down a bit more power, Pawlowska, to take back the lead. Chikos just biding her time, but she never ever is out of the race. So it'll be interesting to see how they come down the course. Pawlowska looking like she is up and into her rhythm, moving that boat confidently and certainly looking full of confidence from last weekend. But Milthers over in lane 7, still pushing her for that lead. Very, very close for the 3rd spot for the A final at the minute, Ross.
Yeah, I mean, goodness me, Anna Pawlowska, we were so impressed with her last week, and she's impressive again this week. But I tell you what, Sarah Milthers did not even really consider her at the start of this race. She's the one who's gone out to challenge Pawlowska, but now look at Pawlowska. She's moving comfortably into the lead. It looks like Chikos from Hungary slipping up there towards 2nd, and Michelle Russell has put on a very good race. She's been up there from the start. She's hanging on at the moment, maybe in 4th position, so she needs to maybe just reel in, or not maybe, she does need to reel in one of these paddlers. And look at Jewel Hake coming through now from Germany. Such an experienced paddler. Just watch her finish. She will really throw caution to the wind here and maybe make a late run for a position in the final. But no doubt about our leader, Anna Pawlowska. Such an impressive paddler from Poland. So good last week and so good again so far this week. It is Pawlowska in front. Still Chikos, I think, holding on to 2nd, maybe ahead of Milthers. Milthers is falling away. I think it is going to be Michelle Russell getting through in 3rd spot. Well done, Michelle Russell. She'll be very happy with that. Pawlowska ahead of Chikos, and then Michelle Russell from Canada, I think, holding on for that cherished 3rd spot to get herself a gig in the women's K1 500. But I tell you, Anna Pawlowska is in the form of her life at the moment. As Emma said, she won the double gold last weekend, and she's come out here on her home course here, and she's really putting on a bit of a show for the hometown fans. They will love what they're seeing at the moment. A really strong performance. Blew away the rest of the field. Unfortunately for Sarah Milthers, she was up there challenging and pushing for the first 350 metres, but I think she found, as they sometimes say, I think it's our co-commentator, Elise Wood, who says the piano lands on you, and I think that's what happened, Emma Weeks, for poor old Sarah Milthers. I think the piano landed and the lid was down, unfortunately, at the time.
Yeah, I think that's, again, always a frustration, but hopefully she can take huge confidence from that incredible first half to 3/4 before the tank just emptied itself. So, yeah, I don't think anyone wants a piano falling on them, Ross, but incredible race, and just showing the strength and the depth across the women at this distance across the world. So really exciting to see these athletes into the final, and it's certainly going to be one to watch this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to Google, actually, in real life, how many times a piano has fallen on. I know in the cartoons it happens a lot. Wile E. Coyote, often a piano would fall on Wile E. Coyote's head, but I don't think in real life it's happened too often. Anna Pawlowska there getting the win. Look at that, a very comfortable margin. Solka Chikos from Hungary getting 2nd. And yes, Michelle Russell should be pretty happy with that to get herself into this A final, because once you're in a final, well, anything can happen. Bianca Sedova into a B final. Sarah Milthers does get a B final, so well done there. Jewel Hake, who made a bit of a challenge at about the 350 metre mark, but then it sort of waned a little bit towards the finish, has snuck into the B final though. And then Knudsen, Rossetti and Medved will contest the C final. Excellent work. All right, so now we have, just looking, we've got to move the buckets again, Emma Wigg. So we're moving the buckets now, I think, to the 200-meter mark for some C2 women, and then we've got some semi-finals for the Paracanowe as well. So the start time for the next race is 18 minutes past the hour, wherever you're watching around the world. So in about 5 minutes from now. So we'll take a little break and we'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes to preview the first and only C2 women's semi-final, and then Emma Wiggs will try and contain herself while she brings you, we bring you some of the coverage of the women's and men's Paracanowe. So we're back with you shortly.
Women 200 meters semifinal. Published to the start area 3. Line 3, Germany. Line 4, Poland. Line 5, United States. Line 6, Taipei. Four minutes to start. 4 minutes. Minutes for the start of race number 83, C2 women 200 meters semifinal. Published to the start area pace. Line 3, Germany. Line 4, Poland. Line 5, United States. Line 6, Taipei.
Just waiting for the C2 women's 200 meter semi-final to start here in Poznan, which interestingly is the 5th most populated city in Poland. So offering a fantastic venue here on Lake Malta for this ICF Canoe Sprint and Paracanowe World Cup. Second of the year after we competed in Szeged last weekend. So it's an exciting weekend of final action coming up. We've got a few more semi-finals to come this morning before the final action kicks off this afternoon. But it's the C2 women's 200 meters. World's best time is held by the Chinese, 42.014 seconds. So this is going to be quick, Ross. This is going to be splish splash, quick as you can down the course.
Yes, just 4 boats in this race, and 3 of them will go through to the semi-final. So it's a bit cutthroat, there's no doubt about that. So we'll introduce you to the field in just a moment. But just on Poznan, I was talking about it yesterday. It's such a beautiful city. It's not on the usual tourist routes, but I can thoroughly recommend it if you get a chance. If you're coming to Poland, the old city here in Poznan is wonderful, and I'm sure you've been around and had a look around it, Emma. It is really eye-catching. There's some beautiful architecture. There's some incredible history, and it's just such a great city. I love it. I love coming to Poznan. It's just, and by the way, the Polish people, they are very, very welcoming. They're always very happy to see tourists in town. All right, now let's have a look here. So there is just the 4 boats competing here. In lane number 3, it'll be the Germans. In lane number 4, the Polish crew. In lane number 5, the Americans. And then in lane number 6, the boat from Taipei. So Jakob and Klemke from Germany, Spurkowitz and Mendelska from Poland, Harper and Gazilla from United States, and Kai and Chang from Taipei, closest to the camera. Remember, 3 of these boats will go through to the A final, 1 will miss out, so it's a bit cutthroat. You don't want to be left at the start, and no one has been, although at this stage it looks like the boat closest to us, the boat from Taipei, has dropped back, so already a difficult task for them to make up this ground as we go out into the middle of the race. And it does look like, in fact, it is the Americans who have gone out the hardest, just nosing their way ahead of the Polish crew, and then Germany in 3rd.
Yeah, really exciting to see these boats working together. Such synchronicity between the paddlers in all 3 of those boats. It's such a skill to be able to paddle one of these boats on your own, let alone with 2 of you. And it is the Americans that take the win, just ahead of Poland ever so slightly, with Germany in 3rd place and Taipei coming through to finish 4th in that semi-final. So the 3 boats that make it through to the A final will be the Americans, Harper and Gisela. 2nd place were the Polish team, and 3rd the Germans. So they will look forward to the A final.
And great to see this depth in the American. I'm sure Nevin Harrison is watching. We miss you, Nevin. We hope to see you back paddling soon. But I'm sure she's excited to see these young American paddlers coming through. Audrey Harper in that American boat is, she's still a teenager. She's born in 2007, so still a teenager. And I wonder how many of these athletes were inspired by the efforts of Nevin Harrison in Tokyo when she went out and won the first ever women's C1 200 gold medal that was up for grabs, and then followed it up, of course, with silver in Paris. I wonder how many were inspired by the efforts of Nevin Harrison. Great to see ahead of Los Angeles that there's some depth coming through for the American paddlers. So there is your confirmation. Harper and Gazilla crossing the line first ahead of Spikowicz and Mendelska from Poland, with Jakob and Moana Klemke from Germany taking the 3rd position. So it's Kai and Cheng who miss out on that A final. All right, now let's turn our attention to the VL3 women. Now this is a semi-final for the Paracanowe. We've got 1 semi-final, and the first 3 paddlers in this race will progress through to the final. I'll tell you who's in the field, and then Emma can give you a bit of the lowdown on who some of these paddlers are and who we should watch out for. So we'll have, in this race, we'll have representing Kazakhstan, Zanil Baltabieva. In lane 2, representing Poland, we'll have Monika Kukla. In lane 3, representing Australia, we'll have Amy Ralph. In fact, I'll just wait. We'll just pause for a moment, because you can just have a look here at some of the dimensions, and maybe you can give us a bit of an idea, Emma, what the VL3 is all about. It's the VAR, isn't it? So what is it? What is it about this boat?
Yeah, so a VAR is a Tahitian fishing boat originally. So the AMA on the side is not necessarily for or because of the fact we're para athletes, it's actually a traditional boat. So they're used on the sea primarily, but they're used in racing for para canoe. So it's very long. It's quite difficult to control. It takes quite a lot of technical input and practice. Not necessarily one of those boats you can just jump in and be really good at. So yeah, a challenge in any sort of crosswind to control the boat. But really, once it's up to speed, it runs quite nicely.
Yeah, so just repeating once again the field. Kazakhstan in lane 1, that's Baltabayeva. Kukla from Poland in lane 2. Ralph from Australia in lane 3. Jimenez from Spain in lane 4. Bohuslavsky from Ukraine in lane 5. Adler from Germany in lane 6. Toniolo from Brazil in lane 7. Blanca from Spain in lane 8. And Friedrich from Brazil in lane number 9. I mentioned this morning Carlota Blanca from Spain, the second closest to the camera. She is a teenager born in 2008, and we're underway. The paddler next to her is 30 years older than her, so there you go. There's a bit of a mix in this field, Emma.
Yeah, and it's absolutely incredible to see so many people in this semi-final. It's got Jimenez coming out fast for Spain in lane 4. I definitely would keep your eyes on the Ukrainian. It's her debut competition. She had a really strong heat, doing just over 63 seconds. So that was impressive. Over in lane 2, we've got Kukla from Poland, also looking like she's going to push for one of those top 3 spots. Such a difficult boat to control if there is a crosswind, but they're looking like they are moving that boat well. That's the Polish athlete Kukla coming down lane 2. This event has been dominated really by Charlotte Henshaw and Hope Gordon, so they've got their work cut out to compete against those two, but they will be looking to get into this A final to give themselves a chance against the big Brits. It looks like it's going to be really close between Poland, Spain and Australia. Amy Ralph there. Looks like those 3 boats are the 3 boats for the final. I think Jimenez from Spain just got the win from Kukla from Poland, but lovely to see Amy Ralph also there in the hunt for that A final spot. So fantastic for these paddlers, and it will be exciting to see how they go in the VL3 final. But do not take your eyes off the Brits and the French Chavet, who also gave a great performance in the heat. So great to see some new faces and see the depth of this event really progressing. We need it to get more competitive and develop in its depth across the world. So fantastic to see, and I'm excited to see the final.
Yeah, indeed. You could see how difficult it was in those conditions, but a really strong race there from Jimenez. And yeah, great call, Emma. It was Monica Kukla who I think got up to just edge out Amy Ralph from Australia for the for second and third. But those 3 will all go through to race for gold later on this weekend. You can see what that took out of Maria Jimenez. It really was a tough struggle. She's still trying to get her breath back. But she'd be pretty happy. She'd be very, very happy, I think, to know that she gets the chance to race for gold, and she's in reasonable form, as Emma was telling us. Though when she gets back to shore and she looks at the start list for the final, there are 2 names there that are very, very daunting, and she really need to bring her A game there to take on Charlotte Henshaw and Hope Gordon. So there's Jimenez, Kukla and Ralph through to the A final. All right, so now we've got another semi-final. This is in the men's KL2. And we'll look at the field for that in just a moment. 8 athletes competing once again for 3 spots to qualify for the gold medal race. And
yeah, this is going to be quite... This is going to be quite an interesting race here across the field. We've obviously got some big names missing from the KL2 men at this World Cup. Curtis McGrath's taking a bit of a slower start to this Paralympic cycle. But it should be a really interesting semi-final. Again, the top 3 looking to progress to the A final. Dave Phillipson won his heat. He looked in good shape and certainly had a good start yesterday in his heat. And then the Italian won the other heat, which was a surprise against the Brazilian. So here is the semi-final start list for the men's KL2 200 meters.
Yes, we have in lane 1 the Japanese paddler Yosuhide Kobayashi. In lane 2 from Poland, Krzysztof Stanio. In lane 3 from Argentina, Emilio Atamanak. In lane 4, the Hungarian Tibor Kish. In lane 5, the Frenchman Mehdi Demash. In lane 6, the Korean Yunho Un. In lane number 7, representing Chile, Franco Gutierrez. And then in lane 8, representing the United States of America, Michael Ballard. So very international field here. We have Japan, Argentina, Korea, Chile, the United States, and a couple of Europeans thrown in there for good measure as well. I mean, it's been incredible, hasn't it, Emma? When we go back to 2016, and there were a handful of countries there in Rio, and dominated by the Australians and the Brits. And now we look, and it's so exciting to see Korea, to see Chile, to see Argentina, to see United States, to see Japan. It's become such a global sport now, Paracanoe.
Yeah, I think when we debuted in Rio, there were 60 athletes in 6 events, and yet a few months ago in Paris, we had 10 events and 100 competitors at those Paralympic Games. So certainly the depth across the world is absolutely brilliant, and as we get that depth and that experience, the standards will all come up. So as expected in lane 4, Kiss has gone out really strongly, chased down by the Argentinian Entebak in lane 3. Over on this near side in lane 7, Gutierrez from Chile also looking strong. The Chileans have a really developing para program there, but these 3 look like they are going to be the 3 that go through to the A final, fighting at the minute in terms of who's going to be in which position. But it is Kiss in lane 4 from Hungary that is looking the strongest, Entebak from Argentina in 3, but the Chilean Gutierrez is coming down fast in lane 7. It's going to be those 3 through to final A, and really impressive to see the closeness between those 3 boats there. But a great display right from the start from Tibor Kiss, looking like he got out strongly and then kept on going down that 200-meter course.
Yeah, very strong, and he just looks over to his support team and gives them the big flex of the muscle there. And what a considerable muscle it is. And the thumbs up there for the TV crew, just to say, did you like the cut of my jib? Yes, we did, Tibor. We liked it a lot, in fact. It was very, very impressive. A very good win there for the Hungarian, and also a strong race there from Gutierrez and from Atamanak. So really a very international field building for the final of the men's KL2. So exciting to see. Now we have one more race, I think, in the para program at this stage, and that's the KL3 men's semi-final, and we'll look at that field in just a moment. Yeah, just while we're waiting for that, Emma, just back on how international it's come, and a lot of work has gone into building the sport around the world, isn't it? Because it's it isn't a cheap sport. The boats can be quite expensive, and getting access to the right coaching staff, getting access to the right sort of facilities is a real challenge. And I think there's been a big effort, and far be it for me to sing the praises of the International Canoe Federation, but they've spent a lot of time working in this area. John Edwards and his team there running International Paracanoe have really worked incredibly hard to bring in more countries, to bring in more athletes, to make sure that it truly is a global sport. And it's been rewarded, Emma, by having extra events added at each of the games since, and that is a measure of the success of the sport. It's gone from a debut sport in Rio to really being one of the real crowd favourites. Not that there were crowds in Tokyo, but it was very well supported. And by the time we got to Paris, it was enjoying some of the prime viewing spots during the Paralympics. So it really has grown, and I'm just so excited, as you must be, Emma, as one of the pioneers of this sport, to see where this is going to go over the next couple of Paracanoe cycles, Paralympic cycles.
Absolutely, and I think I can still remember in Rio having conversations with Channel 4, who were going to broadcast back in the UK the games, because they weren't initially going to cover Paracanoe, and we spoke to them and said, look, this is going to be epic. This is going to be 60 minutes of finals in front of you, with potentially medals in every single one. So we really did showcase the sport in those Rio games, and you're right, it's down to the work of the ICF and John Edwards and his team that do the inspiration programs across the world, and that really get those athletes in. And I think you see that paying dividends in terms of Brazil having a team of 13 here, India having a team of 8, you know, both those teams are bigger than the GB team that we fielded this weekend. So huge depth developing across the nation. Australia have got a team of 6. That's their biggest team, certainly in my career. So really, really brilliant work being done all over the world. And we see that again in this depth of the KL3 men.
Yes, we do. We've got Australia, Poland, Korea, Great Britain, Ukraine, France, India, and Hungary. So a really strong international field. In lane 1, we'll have the Australian Mark Daniels. Lane 2, that is. In lane 3, the Pole, Matthias Sawillo. In lane 4, the Korean, Yongbum Choi. In lane 5, the British paddler, John Tarrant. In lane 6, the man without a vowel in his last name, Andre Sivk. In lane 7, the Frenchman, Gabin Kiril. In lane 8, the Indian, Manish Karav. And in the outside lane, representing Hungary, Gergo Danks. This should be a very, very good race. Again, top 3 will go straight through to compete for gold.
Yeah, looking like it's a good start off that line. Thankfully, no false starts today. The Indian paddler in lane 8 has gone out really well. John Tarrant has had a fantastic start. As I said yesterday, he is a new dad, got a baby daughter, Phoebe, back home. I'm sure she's watching and cheering him on. He's being put on a bit of pressure now by the Korean athlete Choi, but John Tarrant in lane 5 looking like he is up and running at his good boat speed. Looking like he can just hold on, hopefully, now and get that A final spot, but being pushed all the way by the Korean athlete. And on his right-hand side, the Ukrainian Svik also coming through. It's going to be really tight. It looks like it's going to be Korea first, John Tarrant second, and possibly the French athlete in lane 7 might have got 3rd spot ahead of the Ukrainian, but I think that's going to be a photo, so we'll have to wait and see. Bit of a surprise to see Choi from Korea come through to nick the win, but an impressive run by John Tarrant. He'll be pleased to be in that A final, and I'm sure he will rest up and go again tomorrow.
Great result for the sport to have a Korean come through. It looks so impressive there. That was a really strong run there. John Tarrant, I'm pretty certain, got the second, and yes, I think you called it right, Emma. To my naked eye, I think Gabin Kiril from France maybe just tipped out the Ukrainian to take 3rd spot to book his place in the A final, but no doubt about our winner there, Yongbum Choi. Just a little bit slow maybe out of the start, and John Tarrant certainly got the jump on the field, went out really, really hard. Tarrant might have been as shocked as you were, Emma, to look across to his left and find suddenly the Korean up there alongside of him. Luckily, though, John Tarrant was able to remain focused and got the job done. So let's have a look there. It is the Korean who's going to cross first. Tarrant second, and let's have a look down here. The white boat, I think maybe, yes, the Frenchman just getting there. Wow, not by a lot, but enough to tip out the Ukrainian for the A final. So well done, well-timed finish there for Gabin Kiril from France, taking the 3rd spot. Well done to all 3 athletes.
Yeah, impressive from the Korean athlete. Choi made his debut in Duisburg in 23. So he's had a phenomenal rise in the last kind of year and a bit through. And you see that sometimes when someone's new into the sport, the trajectory is quite steep at the start. And that's a great time, given the slightly choppy water on that 200 meter. But that's Choi 1st place, Tarrant 2nd, and Kiril from France 3rd, but all within 0.7 of a second of each other. So fantastic run. The Ukrainian just missing out by 0.04 of a second. He'll go into final B, which will take place tomorrow as well.
And now we have the 2nd semi-final in the men's KL3, and again a good strong field. 8 paddlers here in action, and of this 8, 3 will go through to the final, and there's a big name there in the middle. Racing for an unfamiliar country. Certainly when we see the name Serhiy Yemelnyov, we normally expect him out there for Ukraine. He dominated this sport for so long. He's now had a change of nationality. He's now representing Georgia. He looks like a slimmed down version of Serhiy Yemelnyov. So we'll see how he goes in this race. So we have in lane 1 the Ukrainian Yepifanov. In lane 2, the Australian Giannati. In lane 3, the Korean Hwang. In lane 4, representing Georgia, Yemelinov. In lane 5, representing New Zealand, Murphy. In lane 6, representing Canada, Ferrombois. In lane 7, representing Spain, Martinez. And in lane number 8, representing Austria, it is Dobrev. But yeah, I was still trying to get my head around yesterday, Emma, seeing Serhiy in different colours. We're so used to seeing him for so long dominating this event, representing Ukraine, unbeatable for so many years. And then we didn't see him at all last year. In fact, during that last Paralympic cycle, but we're good to see him back paddling now.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see him back. We want the big names, we want the big characters in our sport. So yeah, it's brilliant to see him back on the start lines, and also sporting a very strong beard, Ross. So I'm sure we should keep our eyes on him.
Yep.
In this semi-final. I think he'll probably be the one that is going to be pushing at the front of the field. But they've come off the start line. Interesting start there, slightly different in different lanes. Don't take your eyes off Finn Murphy. He's a debutant from New Zealand. He had a fantastic heat. Didn't quite get the start that he was probably hoping for there. But Yemelinov is the one that is stretching out, as we have seen so many times over the years, in that boat. Powerful stroke down the field, looking like he is back almost to his very best after a slight shock in the heat yesterday. He's never probably done a semi-final, but he is looking very comfortable, easing off already as he approaches down to the finish. It's going to be a really tight race for that second and third spot through. It looks like it's going to be the Yupanov in lane 1 from Ukraine, and it's going to be a photo for that third spot. Finn Murphy potentially just pipping out the Canadian and the Spanish athlete Martinez. But let's wait for the photo. How did you see that, Ross?
Well, what I saw was a very impressive man with a very big beard out at the front of the field, and he really did say, "Catch me if you can," and they could not catch him. He really got the job done. Yeah, I think maybe third, maybe the Canadian maybe tipped out Finn Murphy. I think Yepifanov from Ukraine possibly got second, and maybe the third spot did go to... It's very close between Ferrombois and Murphy. Ferrombois from Canada and Murphy from New Zealand. I think they were the ones who were fighting it out there for that third spot. We'll definitely need to get the very expensive magnifying glass out to have a look at that one. But let's have a look at the replay as we get down to the finish line. No doubt about our winner, the big Georgian, and then Ukraine takes second. And let's have a look. Yeah, I think just I reckon Gabriel Ferron-Bois has broken the heart of Finn Murphy. There won't be much in it. It'll be like a nanosecond. Shouldn't trust my naked eye, by the way. I've got old eyes now. I'm not as young as I used to be. This is going to shock you, Emma. I'm not as young as I used to be. My eyes do play a few tricks on me every now and then, but I'm going to give it to the Canadian, maybe just. Here we go. Oh. Okay.
Absolutely spot on, Ross. That's impressive. 2/100ths of a second. I'm sure Finn Murphy will be disappointed because he paddled so well yesterday, but he just didn't get the start that he probably was hoping for. And again, that's experience. You know, that starting bucket is like nothing else in any other sport. So he's clearly got the technique, he's clearly got the power, but that starting process, particularly when you're lining up next to the multiple Paralympic champion Yemelinov, just definitely slightly put him off at the start. But he came back strongly, but he'll be disappointed. But he will make the B final. So yeah, really, really impressive run. Yemelinov looked in control from the first stroke.
So we've got a bit of a break now coming up. Then we've got some very special races coming up, some races for you just before the lunch break. I'm going to go off and get myself sorted out for a few things. I'm going to leave you in the very, very capable hands of Emma Wigg. So I'm sure we'll take a little break for 5 or 6 minutes before she comes back to call some very special races, which we always put on here in Poznan, and it's something fantastic to see, and Emma can tell you all about that in around 10 minutes or so. And I'll be back after the lunch break with some more exciting races this afternoon. Emma, it's been an absolute joy working alongside you as always. Your knowledge is second to none, and your commentary is always exciting and informative. So thank you for being here this morning, and I'll be chatting with you again at some stage tomorrow, I'm sure. Thank you, Emma, and thank you, everyone. We'll see you after lunch.
Thank you, Ross. And don't forget, if you've missed any of the action, you can check out the Planet Canoe YouTube channel if you've missed either the action this morning, yesterday, or last weekend in Szeged. There's some fantastic footage there. So make sure you come back and join us for these intellectually impaired races that are running in a few minutes' time. So we'll see you shortly.
Could you play that song for me? It's my favorite song.
Okay, tell me when I'm back on live mic. Okay, thank you for joining us here at Poznan for the ICF Canoe Sprint and Paracanoe World Cup. We've got an exciting 4 races coming up for you just now. These are a different category of impairment than Paracanoe. So we've got the physical impairments that we've just witnessed in Paracanoe, the KL3, KL2, KL1, VL3, VL2, VL1. These next races are a demonstration event for athletes with intellectual impairments. We've seen the inclusion of these classes at marathon level, so it's a fantastic addition to our sport and a real chance for athletes with intellectual impairments to experience the thrill and the excitement and the energy of our sport. So you can see the athletes out there already. We've got athletes from different countries competing in these next 4 races. Really brilliant to see so many athletes in the field. You'll see them in slightly different boats to the Paracanoe sprint boats that we've just seen in action in the Vars. These are more plastic type canoes and kayaks, and they're just coming up to the start, just trying to get in their lanes. The wind will be presenting a bit of a challenge. Obviously, these boats are higher volume, so have a bit more are a bit more impacted by the wind. But as you can see, we've got athletes from all over the world. We've got Germany, Belgium, Greece, Poland, all competing in this race, and they're just on the start line, just about to start. So really fantastic to see our amazing sport opened up to everybody. It really is a sport that is accessible for everybody across the world. There's a different boat for everyone, whether you fancy a leisurely paddle in a Canadian canoe down a river with a picnic, or whether you want to sprint in a Paracanoe sprint boat. And they're off. The athletes are off. You'll notice they didn't have the start buckets. They're just lining up without the pressure of a start bucket. But a fantastic start there from the Belgium athlete over in lane 7. Really is taking out a lead, looking like he's got a fantastic stroke, moving his boat across the water. Very even in the far lanes. There's a German, a Belgium athlete, and an athlete from Greece, looking like they are also having a fantastic race so far. Again, this is over the 200-meter distance, looking like they are enjoying the race and putting down the best performance they've got. Tom Klaas from Belgium is still in the lead in that spearmint green boat coming down the course. I'm sure he'll be delighted to get the win. As you can see, different athletes have slightly different boats, but absolutely all of them executing the very best they've got. And what a fantastic stage to be doing it on at this World Cup here in Poznan. So we've got a fantastic finish there from Klaas in Belgium, and then over on the far side, the German Max Grumt, looking like he's got 2nd place. 3rd place, the Belgium athlete Lander de Klerk in lane 2. As you can see, all the athletes lining up there, representing their country on the world stage. What a fantastic example for all of us. So that was the II KT1 men's 200-meter final. And very shortly, we've got another race coming up for you. As you can see at the start, as I mentioned, no start buckets, but the athletes trying to line themselves up. Sometimes trickier without a start bucket to get yourself in the right position. But the starter let them go, and they were off down that course. So important that our sport can open up the great outdoors in an accessible way. For many people with both physical and intellectual impairments, the outdoors is not always that friendly or accessible. So I'm really proud that our sport can open up the great outdoors to a variety of people. Coming up shortly, we've got a K2 event in this KT2 Open class. So this will be a mixture of men and women and different intellectual impairments lining up on the start line. And we've got representation from another great range of countries. We've got some Lithuanian paddlers, some more German paddlers, some Polish paddlers, which is great as the home nation, and Belgium and Greece also lining up. So that's due to go off in about 8 minutes time. So do come back and join us for some more exciting action. Coming up in a few minutes here in Poznan, we've got the second of our intellectually impaired canoe races. We've got the K2 Open class, which is a direct final over 200 meters. Really fantastic to have seen both the ICF and Canoe Europe embrace the integration of classes of intellectually disabled athletes into some of the competitions as demonstration events over the last couple of years. We've seen races held at World Cups, at World Championships and at European Championships. So really fantastic to showcase these athletes and give them a stage on which they can perform and test themselves against other athletes from across the world. So really great to see that. I'm sure the crowd are supporting them as they watch them come down in these races over the next 20 minutes or so. So in a few minutes time, we've got the K2 Intellectually Impaired Open Final.
Race number 89. K2 Open Limited, 200 meters final. 3 minutes to start. 3 minutes to start. Lane 1, UK. Lane 2, Germany. Lane 3, Germany. Lane 4, Poland. Lane 5, Germany. Lane 6, Poland. Lane 7, Poland. Lane 8, Belgium. Lane 9, Poland. Lane 10, Greece.
Just about a minute to go until the second of these intellectual impairment races. This is the K2. You can see the boats coming down the lane, their lanes towards the start. They won't probably be using starting buckets, but they will try to get onto the start line as evenly as possible, and then the starter will let them go. So this is over 200 meters. Really fantastic to see representation from different countries from across the world. We've got Lithuania athletes making their debut. The Germans have always represented well in these classes across the competitions that we've had. We've got Germany in lane 2, another boat from Germany in lane 3, Poland, the home nation, in 4, Germany in 5, Poland in 6, Poland in 7, Belgium in 8, and then we've got a Polish boat in 9, and we've actually got a Greek boat in lane 10, so we've got 10 lanes. You can see there across the start line that we have got a range of ages. Really young boat there, looking like they are super excited and ready for this race on the international stage. What a fantastic opportunity for these athletes to be out there racing. So this is an open class, so this is mixture of male and female athletes, any combination coming down in a K2 as fast as they can. So a range of ages and a range of countries represented. This is going to be an exciting race. They're coming down towards the starting bucket area, looking across just to see if they can stay in line with the other competitors. And they're doing a great job out there at the minute. The boat on the near side is in lane 10, so don't worry that they're not in a lane at the minute. Just trying to get themselves all lined up and hold on that start line before the starter lets them go. Always a challenge on any starting line to get yourself lined up, particularly with a tailwind and those boats that are slightly higher volume than the sprint boats that we are used to. But the athletes doing well to position themselves as best they can in their lanes and come down to the starting area. Some great backward paddling there by that boat. The boat in lane 10 looking ready to go, starting position. He is eager to get that first stroke in. And they're nearly there, they're nearly lined up. How fantastic to see so many boats, and they're off. The starters let them go. And as expected, the boat on the near side from Greece has had an absolutely electric start. They are flying off that start line, hoping that they're going to keep that energy all the way to the finish. really even spread across the rest of the field. And over in lane 3, there's a German boat who've got a bit of a head start on the rest of the field, and they are chasing down this Greece boat over in lane 10. As you can see, the waves look quite a bit choppier than some of the conditions we saw this morning. So they're doing fantastically well to navigate their way down those choppy waters. But Greece in lane 10 are still looking like they are propelling their boat forwards with all of that energy and expertise. And over in lane 3, the Germans are also paddling as hard as they can down this course. And it looks like the Greece boat might have run out of steam ever so slightly. Can't quite see them on the screen. Germany coming across over in lane 3, and the rest of the boats coming across the finish line. Really close finish, really fantastic effort. You can see them there enjoying that experience and putting down such a physical effort to get down that course in those conditions. Absolutely brilliant to see people out there giving their all, as we've witnessed over the last day and a half in the canoe sprint and the Paracanowe. We'll just wait to see whether we get confirmation of whether the boat from Greece just nicked the win out of my eye line. But very impressive by all those athletes. And there's 2 more races to come, so hopefully you can stay with us. We've got a K2 men's 200 meter final coming up, followed by a K1 Open. So 2 more races for you to come before we have a break, before the canoe sprint and Paracanowe restarts this afternoon at 1:15 local time. So don't forget, if you've missed any of the action at all over the last day and a half, or indeed last weekend, you can check out all the videos and all the highlights and all the reruns on the Planet Canoe YouTube service. And very shortly we will have the third of the races for athletes with intellectual impairments, and it's going to be the men's K2 200 meter final. So we've got 10 boats lining up in this one. Again, really great to see so many boats on these start lines. Definitely, I have seen through the last few years development and an increase in the numbers of people racing in these boats, which is fantastic. I'm Emma Wiggs. I am Paralympic Paracanoe champion, and really enjoying bringing you some of the racing here from Poznan in Poland at this canoe sprint and Paracanoe World Cup, and these demonstration events for athletes with intellectual impairments. As someone with a disability, I know the power of sport to change lives, so it's fantastic to be able to give athletes of a range of different disabilities the option and the chance to experience what it's like paddling on the world stage. So fantastic work by the ICF for getting these races up and running, and I've definitely seen more and more interest over the last couple of years in people competing. So we're just waiting for the start of the men's K2 200 meter final. The athletes will be just making their way down to the starting area shortly.
To the start line. The boyas are our line. The boyas is the line. Do not cross the boyas. The red boyas do not cross. Please.
So as you can see there, the boats starting to come round down towards the starting areas. They won't be using buckets. They will just be lining up in between those buoys on the start line, and then the starter will let them go. So we've got 10 lanes of athletes. Poland lane 1, Poland lane 2, Germany in 3, Greece in 4, Belgium in 5, Greece in 6, Germany in 7, Belgium in 8, Poland in 9, and Belgium in 10. And what an experience for these athletes to have come across the globe to visit Poland and to be competing at an event such as this, a canoe sprint Paracanoe World Cup here in Poznan. So really exciting for these athletes to be able to line up here on day 2 of the World Cup. Some of the boats are there ready and waiting, a few of them just getting themselves sorted and coming round to the starting area. So there's a short delay on the start of this men's K2 200 meter final. One of the boats there looking ready and raring to go.
Lane number 1, Poland, lane number 2, Poland, lane number 3, Germany, lane number 4, Greece, lane number 5, Belgium, lane number 6, Greece, lane number 7, Germany, lane number 8, Belgium, lane number 9, Poland, lane number 10, Belgium.
Just adjusting themselves if they're slightly in the wrong lane, but they're coming down towards the starting area, so I'm sure we'll be underway any second now. I can see all the boats coming down, doing a great job holding themselves in that starting area. Luckily the wind seems to have dropped slightly, which is making it a bit easier for them to line up. I'm sure the starter will get them underway once they are all just lined up as best they can. Fantastic effort there by all the athletes getting into the right position. And what an experience to be on a world-class lake, a world-class venue, and part of this canoe sprint and Paracanoe ICF World Cup.
Bo pierwszy raz wypowiedziany podczas pierwszych olimpiad specjalnych w 1968 roku i było zorganizowane przez Szybę.
Here we are, just waiting for this last boat just to find their lane, and then we will be off in this intellectual impairment K2 men's 200 meters. Here they come, coming up to the line. And they're off. And a really quite even start across those middle lanes over there in the middle of the course. That's the Greece boat, the Belgian boat, and another Greek boat, looking like a strong start. On the near side here, the boat from Belgium also looking like they're really in sync and paddling well. But it's absolutely the Greek boat out in front, paddling really strongly and looking like they've got a fantastic start on the rest of the field. Really great example of how sport can change lives and should be accessible to absolutely everybody. So brilliant to see these athletes out there showing the world what they've got, alongside some of our greatest Olympians and Paralympians on the same water. And there we go, that's a win for Greece, followed by the Belgian boat, and then Greece coming through in third. Fantastic effort and a really close finish between those last few boats coming up to the line. What an experience for these athletes, what an experience for their families watching them, and they look absolutely delighted with their performances. So gives me goosebumps watching. How fantastic. So we've got one more race to come, and it is the K1 Open 200 meters, and we've got 8 boats in this one, so we'll see those athletes come round to the start line shortly.
Race number 91, K1 Open, 200 meters final. Lane 1, Poland. Lane 2, Lithuania. Lane 3, Lithuania. Lane 4, Poland. Lane 5, Germany. Lane 6, Poland. Lane 7, Greece. And lane 8, Greece. So, Boyas is our starting line. Do not cross the red Boyas, please. Do not cross the line of the plane.
So we're just coming up to the final race of these demonstration events, the events for athletes with intellectual impairments. Fantastic opportunity for them to be putting their efforts down against paddlers from across the world. So these athletes will have been training hard. They'll have been making sure that they are ready to perform on this world stage, and how brilliant to be able to have this platform to showcase their talents. We've got one race left for you. We've got the K1 Open 200 meters. So this will be a mixture of athletes, different ages, men and women, all competing against each other. There'll be 8 athletes lining up. As you saw in the previous races, there are no start buckets. They are just being asked to wait at the boys at the start line to be under starter's orders, and then the starter will let them go. So over there in lane 1, we've got a Polish athlete. Then in lane 2 from Lithuania, in lane 3 from Lithuania. Another home favourite in lane 4, Germany in lane 5, Poland in lane 6, and then Greece follow up in lane 7 and lane 8. So we've got 2 Greek paddlers over on this near side in lane 7 and lane 8. So again, fantastic representation of countries from across the globe in this final race for athletes with intellectual impairments. Just see the last few athletes coming round to find their lane on the start line. So the starter will just be giving them a few minutes just to make sure they're in their lanes, ready to go. You can see they're all in plastic boats, which are quite high volume, looking to line up on the start line and show the world what they've got.
Ostatni wyścig w ramach olimpiad specjalnych, K1 kobiet, kategoria Open, 200 metrów.
So whilst canoe sprint doesn't have intellectual disability categories at the Paralympic Games, there are some sports that do. So table tennis, athletics and swimming all have categories for athletes with intellectual impairments. So really fantastic to see the power of sport to change people's lives. And these athletes now just making their way back to the starting boys before they are released by the starter. Obviously, currently within Paracanowe at the Paralympic Games, we have the physical disabilities that we've already seen in action this morning. I know the Paracanoe Committee and the classifiers are working hard to get maybe some upper limb disability categories into Paracanoe, which would be an amazing addition for our sport and something that I'm hopeful we will see in the future, just opening up more sport and more opportunity to people with different disabilities. We've got a fantastic paddler with an upper limb disability, John White, in the UK. So it would be great to see that category brought in to Paracanoe more widely. He currently competes in marathon categories, which are currently including a broader range of disabilities. looks like we're potentially missing a few of our starters from our start list, but we do have 5 boats on the starting area, just waiting to line up, just getting themselves adjusted, making sure that they are in their lane and in the best position for them before the starter lets them go. So we're just waiting a few more minutes for them to get themselves settled. And then it looks like we will have 5 athletes coming down this IIKT1 Open 200 meter final. And here we go at the start. Looks like we've had a couple of late starters. Looks like the Greek athletes might have just appeared on the start line. So we're just waiting for one more boat to turn round before the starter will let them go in this final demonstration event for athletes with intellectual impairments. Pretty sure the starter's going to let them go. As soon as this boat is round, they're going to be off in this final event. So we've got 7 boats in this final 200 meters, just turning themselves so they're facing down the course. And I'm sure the starter's going to let them go. Still just a little bit of trouble on the start line here for this final race. Some of the athletes doing incredibly well just to hold their nerve, hold their boat steady in their lane as the slightly chaotic start unravels around them. But they're doing incredibly well to stay lined up, and I'm sure any second now the starter will release them round and will be off in this final race for athletes with intellectual impairments here at the Poznan World Cup. And they're off in this race. We now have an extra athlete has appeared, so we've got eight athletes in this race as they come down the course. Really strong start by the Greek athletes over on this near side, looking like they have taken their run from the K2 a few minutes ago and are now executing it in their K1. So that's fantastic to see, having a cheeky look across at his competitors just to see where he is, but he should just literally keep doing what he's doing, which is powering that boat down the course in this near side lane. Gigantes from Greece looking like he is going to take the win, determined. He just has won the K2 and he's jumped in his K1 and has come round to the start of this K1 open 200 meters, and he looks like he is powering strongly down to the finish. Fantastic effort from all these athletes to be getting down this race course. Not easy on the international stage, not easy in head-to-head racing, but what a sight to see, seeing these boats come down the course, and a win for the Greek athlete Gintes to make sure that they are taking home another first place, having just got one in the K2. What a fantastic race to see. Make sure you join us again. It'll be Ross and Elise on your commentary team at 1:15 local time. Join us for some exciting finals. There are 38 races on for you this afternoon, and we will award the first medals of this ICF Canoe Sprint and Paracanowe World Cup here in the beautiful Poznan. Be sure to join us again at 1:15 local time. I'm Emma Wiggs, and I look forward to sharing racing with you over the weekend.
sportsmen from the Special Olympics which will took part in the final. Please request to the medal ceremony. Przedstawicieli poznańskich mediów, witamy przedstawicieli Polskiej Agencji Prasowej Marcina Pawlickiego, który jest oczywiście tutaj jak zawsze z nami i dba o to, żebyście mieli Państwo najświeższe wiadomości.
Zapraszamy wszystkich zawodników z olimpiad specjalnych do stawienia się w ceremonii dekoracji. Już za chwileczkę ceremonii dekoracji, a my przypominamy, że pierwsze wyścigi finałowe o godzinie 13:15, finał C1 mężczyzn na dystansie 200 metrów. Finały A rozpoczniemy o godzinie 14:17. Także już teraz zapraszamy. All participants who took part in the Special Olympics, please request to the medal ceremony.